Here.
Trustee Veras.
Here.
For the record, Trustee Boilman is here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Trustee Eno, VP Eno will lead us in the flag salute.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Today, we would like to adjourn the meeting in memory of Martin Ray Lindley. Mr. Lindley was a custodian at East LA College. He passed away in March at the age of 37. Martin began his LACCD career at LA Harbor College in 2013, transferring to ELAC in July of 2016. He was known to be a private person with a love of music and a great sense of humor. He is survived by his mother, 3 sisters, and niece. On behalf of the entire LA Community College District community, we extend our deepest condolences to Mr. Lindley's family and his colleagues at East LA College. Please join me in a moment of silence for Martin Lindley. Thank you. Today, we welcome Dr. Rebecca Corbin, President, CEO of the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurship, and Professor Baldwala regarding the Los Angeles Regional Consortium's Innovation in Action convening, which took place on Monday and Tuesday of this week.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It is such a pleasure to be here with you. We had a wonderful few days of training, and I can tell you, as the largest, fastest growing national association dedicated to entrepreneurship and innovation, that your district is really leading the way. You may not know this, but all of your colleges are members, and I think it's a tribute to your board that you value entrepreneurship and innovation as really a pathway to equity and opportunity for everyone. So I'm going to begin my comments because I want to make them brief. I know a lot of you have things to tackle, but NACCD is a nonprofit educational association. We're 23 years old. Our mission is to engage members through entrepreneurial thinking and innovative action. Membership is the heart of what we do. All of you here, and whether it's in the classroom, in communities, or if you play an administrative role, we value what you do and we support what you do. So my objectives in this very short presentation are to share the power of the NACCD network, to discuss some funding opportunities as members that some of your colleges may want to take advantage of. At the end of December, NACCD received one of the largest charitable donations that we've ever accepted, which is the SkillPoint platform. It was developed by the makers of Auto Trader, and it's a great resource for attracting students that would not visit a community college website. So it really addresses the enrollment issue. And then I'd just like to really celebrate and thank the leadership at the LARC for their training and really the impact that it made. So in a nutshell, what NACCD does through your membership is it provides funding opportunities that we secure through corporations like Verizon, and we provide that funding to colleges to work together to co-create opportunities on your campus. We do a lot with professional development. We have summits. We have an annual conference where faculty, administrators, foundation leaders can come together and learn and be inspired. And then again, we have tools and templates to share. I don't know about this clicker. Let's see. I seem to be stuck. So I'm going to just keep talking. But one of the things that we've really seen in our work is the power of entrepreneurial mindset. Oh, thank you. So for example, in terms of funding, we're not a foundation per se, but one of the things that we do is we work with, as I said, corporations like Verizon that give us funding that we in turn provide to colleges. At our annual conference, we have $150,000 up for grabs for a pitch for the skilled trades. So it's an opportunity for faculty and administrators to pitch in front of a national audience. We have foundation leaders that are judges, so some of them get additional funding. And then there are other programs designed for social entrepreneurship and veteran access to capital. So we are a partner with Syracuse University in New York on an SBA initiative to really try to support veterans that are coming back from their service and get them engaged at your colleges in the area of entrepreneurship. So here's just a quick slide about NACCD's growth. So you can see in 2017, we were a relatively small organization. We had a little over $1 million budget, but still we gave away close to $1 million back to our colleges. So, you know, fast forward, things changed during the pandemic, but in 2023 alone, our budget was $9.3 million and we gave $8 million back to our colleges. So we're very proud of that. Thank you, Kelsey, for your support. So this year, our budget is $13.5 million, and our revenue, our membership dues are only 3% of our budget. So we really believe in that spirit of giving back. And as I mentioned, we do professional development summits. We have digital badges. So the LARC training that was really envisioned, not only Fatima was a champion for it, but Dr. Makajan and other people that really came together and got people excited. So I'm have to tell you how filled up we were with your folks that participated. All of them will receive digital badges. So if they're applying for tenure or promotions and professional development, that's another thing that we offer. And I think I'm stuck again on the slides here. One of the things that we think about into the future is really where are students coming from. This district, I know like others around the country, is doing such great work, but we're looking at a demographic cliff for students. We need to think about attracting students differently. People that are taking early retirement, for example, people that have to work, might have a job change. And so some of the things that we're trying to do through some of our technology solutions is help people get to a community college. And that was where I mentioned the Skill Point solution, where people could actually find out by taking a 2-minute quiz what preferences align to a career or something that they're interested in. And so we've had over 1 million people visit the Skill Point site. It is one of the NACCD benefits that we're happy to talk about. But I think overall, one of the things that NACCD does that really is probably the most impactful is it's bringing people together. And I had mentioned to Fatima as I was sitting next to her how beautifully diverse this room is. And I can tell you the NACCD network, Midwestern rural areas, New York City, Los Angeles, we get people from 48 states that really co-create, and we align around that mission of equity and opportunity. So I can tell you just briefly in closing, I've been the president and CEO of NACCD for 10 years. It has been an honor to be in this position. The 6 years prior, I was the vice president of institutional advancement at Burlington County College in New Jersey. And when I walked through the door of my first community college, I was blown away at the opportunity. I had worked prior for the public television system, and we were trying to upgrade. It was back before we even had HDTV. And there was just opportunity everywhere. And I think one of the things that I'm so proud of the work that we do at NACCD is teaching people to take advantage of those opportunities and really to work hand in hand with others, because we don't want so much disruption that it impacts the way that things go. But sometimes a little bit of innovation and support can really make a difference. So I am so deeply grateful to be here today. I want to thank you for your membership on the table for the presidents. We have a copy of our NACCD journal. We have an article that I was privileged to write for the League for Innovation magazine, which shows how entrepreneurial mindset can help aspiring presidents, new presidents, and long-serving presidents. So one sort of opportunity I wanted to lay on the table was we have what's called a Presidents for Entrepreneurship pledge. And it's really just that public statement that entrepreneurship and innovation is important to our college. It's important for our students. So the standing record right now is the Inland Empire. We had 9 college presidents sign this pledge together. So I just will leave that for you as an opportunity. NACCD is there to support you in your work. We do a lot of professional development, but if you want to do a team like sort of celebration and have presidents sign it together, what we do through our communication channels is share that out nationally. So I thank you for your time and the work that all of you do every day. Students are very important to us. We represent colleges that teach over 3.3 million students. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and have a wonderful board meeting.
Thank you. So next up, we have public comment. The First Amendment and the Brown Act guarantee a member of the public the right to criticize a public employee or public official in the performance of their duties. However, speakers are encouraged to focus their comments on issues relevant to the conduct of the public's business rather than on private, unrelated matters. Speakers are reminded that the Brown Act and First Amendment do not protect defamatory statements made, which may subject the speaker to personal liability. So first up, we have Mr. Rolando Cuevas online. Mr. Cuevas? Okay, so next up we have Ashley Tejada, or Tejada, I'm sorry.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Tejada, speaking on behalf of the Campaign for College Opportunity. We thank you for intentionality in which you approach the board's 2024 goals of creating access to educational opportunities, creating premier learning environments, and ensuring student success and equity. These goals will be key to closing racial equity gaps for all students, and we are particularly excited about your partnership with longtime allies and conspirators in the pursuit of racial equity, AMEND. As you consider how to implement Board Rule 1.1 of overseeing efforts to increase enrollment and student performance, we encourage you to continue a laser focus on prioritizing evidence-based student support services to help more students reach their college goals. Under item H1 resolution, we would like to call to the immense value of adequately implementing equitable placement policies for all students. Through prioritizing equitable placement, we've seen students across the board are most successful when placed directly in transfer level math and English with the supports needed to be successful there. According to the PPIC, research shows that students placed directly in co-requisite supports and a transfer level course are more likely to perform better than those placed in prerequisite courses. And while today's proposed resolution cites that colleges fail to support 30% and 40% of students in completing transfer level English and math, respectively, I urge you to consider that prior to equitable placement, an alarming 53% and 76% of students were not supported to complete transfer level English and math. We've made tremendous progress in the last several years, and the data is clear. Equitable placement policies are working, and if done correctly, can be crafted to ensure every single student is supported to reaching their college goals. We acknowledge the need for students to have proper foundation building, but instead, we encourage colleges to continue to offer more co-requisites and tutoring, two proven methods for supporting student completion. And as you assess how to best serve adult learners and those returning to their college education, we recommend you consider how to reassess counseling and on-campus support services to be adapted to better meet students where they are and to create more individualized supports for students who may be in different life situations than coming straight from high school. We firmly believe this data-backed route best complements LACCD's stated goals of student success and equity, as well as maximizing future educational opportunities as outlined in the LACCD strategic plan. As always, we offer ourselves as a resource and a soundboard as you assess how best to support students in reaching their college and career goals. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is Mr. Cuevas online? Okay, so we'll move on
We
to.
do have 2 people in person that signed up to speak on H1.
Okay.
So Marianne Galindo. and also Martha Clayton. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Martha Clayton, and I am the chair of the Non-Credit District Disciplines Committee. I want to thank you for your interest in non-credit pre-transfer courses for adult working learners. However, we were quite surprised by this resolution as no one from non-credit was consulted or asked for guidance during its creation. So I want to quickly share some important considerations. Adult education has a rich and successful history of addressing pre-collegiate skills for adult learners, whether in the form of remediation or refresher boot camps for those who have had a long break from formal education to help them successfully bridge into credit programs. We are experts in and consistently utilize adult learning theory or andragogy, cultural competencies, which is a DEIA metric, and contextualization. We specialize in creating aligned pathways for VESL and ESL non-credit basic skills to career classes and to credit programs as well. Why? Because we have always worked under the premise that one size does not fit all. LACCD already has non-credit representatives on the Vision 2030 task force to speak with regard to non-credit success metrics, because we are consistently working to alleviate the challenges that impact both credit and non-credit faculty and our respective disciplines post AB 1705 and with regard to student preparation. And while we welcome your support, there are challenges with some of the language, and so we ask you to consider the following. Where is this resolution going? What is the goal and the plan to accomplish that goal? Why was there no consultation with the District Academic Senate nor its District Discipline Committee? Will you meet with the non-credit faculty to reconsider the current language so we can coordinate efforts rather than run the risk of undermining them? Curriculum is a 10+1 matter, and we respectfully request a brief pause on this matter and a meeting inclusive of faculty stakeholders to coordinate appropriate advocacy at the state level. Thank you. I'll yield the rest of my time to Mary Ann Galindo.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, trustees. My name is Mary Ann Galindo. Nice to see you again. I am the LAMC Mission College Academic Senate President. Some of you may know me by my fun nickname, the Crazy Cuban Lady. I'm trying to fix things that I didn't break. Thank you for your interest in this matter. Many of you also know that I was the 6th full-time non-credit hire in this district. And so at that time, you may recall, if you've been here just a little minute or two, year or two, that there was something called the Basic Skills Initiative. And there was many successes at that time that led to the C's work, right? Equity and Achievement Program, Student C's work. That framework allows for us to use existing resources to complement what our credit faculty are experiencing in terms of addressing the gaps in AB 705 and 1705, much to what you've heard my two colleagues, or my one colleague and the college campaign promise advocate spoke to earlier around placement. So here's the thing. We need to complement each other rather than kind of compete with the different things. There are a lot of strategies that we can use. As a member of the District Academic Senate, I want to extend our partnership in creating a better resolution with some better language. I am a member of one of 2 faculty members at the State Vision 2030 Task Force around non-credit metrics. So we have a very powerful voice to making sure that we can actually support basic skills in such a way that we are not scaffolding and adding to the old problems of extending our students' pathways, right? We want to get them time to completion with the skills requisite to succeed in their degrees and their career goals. So there are methods that people just do not yet understand how to complement the financial resources and the academic resources. And so I would extend the olive branch to kind of work on this resolution, clean up the language a little bit better. Because I would like to have the same messaging that when I go to Vision 2030, that I'm reinforcing your language and vice versa, so that we can actually make a better law to help our students. And so we were a little surprised when we found out about this yesterday, I think we can capitalize on the successes of, of the Basic Skills Initiative that some people just don't know about. They may be a little bit newer to our district. And let's just kind of help refresh that just because it wasn't funded in the past, simply because non-credit was only at 60%. Now at this point, because it is seen as value, let's leverage those resources in a strategic way. I'm available for questions. You can find me through the district senate, on email, through the chancellor. I work way too much, but this is something near and dear to my heart. So please do use me as a resource. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there anyone else that would like to, that's been signed up to speak? Okay, thank you, Madam Board Secretary. So now we'll move on to item D, our approval of the agenda. But before we proceed, Chancellor, is there anything that you'd like to change on the order of business?
Madam President, good afternoon, members of the board. There are no changes to the agenda.
Thank you. So may I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda and order of business?
So moved.
Moved by VP Eno,
Also,
second, Trustee Hoffman.
yes.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Student advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Boulna, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Absent, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Barrett.
Thank you for that. And next up, we have item D2. May I have a motion and a second to approve the regular board meeting and closed session minutes of March 6, 2024, and the special meeting minutes of January 14th, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by VP Eno and second by VP Hernandez. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Boulna, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella, trustee Barrett.
Yes.
Thank you. For item E, may I have a motion and a second to approve the agreement between the Los Angeles Community College District and American Federation of Teachers College Staff Guilds?
So moved.
Moved by VP Eno,
Second.
second by trustee Hoffman. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Boulna, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Barrett.
Yes.
Thank you. So next we have item E2. May I have a motion and a second to approve the salary rate increase for the American Federation of Teachers?
So moved.
Staff Guild. Thank you so much. Moved by trustee Vella,
Second.
second by VP Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Boulna, trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella, trustee Barrett.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, now will the members of the board and the chancellor join me for the ceremonial signing of the collective bargaining agreement with the representatives from AFT 1521A, CFT, AFT, AFL-CIO. And also, Vice Chancellor Williams and your team, please join us.
all of my legal student workers pay. Yeah, yeah, a little part of me.
I'm not like real pushing.
Okay. It was David Anderson. Yeah, he was I love how he runs the faculty.
Oh, you want to get me? Yeah, okay.
What
for?
It's okay, Michelle, you're president.
No, no, get it.
So yes, good afternoon, everyone. Giovanna Campos for AFT 1521A, Chief Negotiator for the 23-26 contract. So thank you so much to the team that began the work. Hazel, Joanne, Mario, Christine, Martha, Lucia Smith, thank you so much for beginning the work. And for the team who finished the contract, thank you for your support. But Martha and Lucia could not have done this without you. I appreciate the background, the history, the law that you guys helped me work through and understand so that we could get a great contract. So thank you so much. Thank you to our LACCD management team for bargaining in good faith, and we will continue the work for our next contract. So thank you.
And on behalf of the board, we're glad, very, very happy that we finally been able to get to this point today where everyone is in great spirits, very happy with the outcome. And it shows that when there is a will, there is definitely a way. So thank you all. Okay, so I made comments for the board in a sense, but colleagues, did any of you want to make any additional comments before we move on?
No, well said.
So now we'll have item F. Do any members of the resource table wish to be recognized at this time? Come forward.
You guys are in front.
Good afternoon, trustees. My name is Lucia Smith, currently the monitor executive director for 1521A. So I just want to take a couple of minutes to shout out again this what just got accomplished. It was, I come from El Camino. I think I had said that before. And so I've negotiated multiple contracts with El Camino's district. And I was very impressed with our teams really, because this negotiation started with a team, and in the middle we had to switch to a second team. And I was on the second team, and those team members all worked really hard. The majority of them, really all of them, contributed at some point to this and did work. Again, from El Camino, there were several on my team that did nothing but sat in the room, right? But our team really worked hard. I assume, and I'm confident that the first team did the same thing. Our discussions with the district during our negotiating meetings were fantastic. There was it was fantastic. The whole process for me was very successful. And I do want to shout out, Ivana and Martha were our chief negotiators, but really Ivana did the lion's share of the work. She kept us on track. She did. She did. She kept track of the different positions and the what do you call them? Proposals back and forth, right? So she kept track of that. She made sure we stayed on track, but she really did the lion's share of the work. But the whole team was great, and working with the district in this situation was really, I don't know if people say negotiations is pleasurable, but it really wasn't. It really was somewhat that. And we had a fun time as a team working on newsletters and developing language to put in there. So I just want to say this was a fantastic team, and the result showed here today, right? So thanks to all of you guys, both teams, and the hard work that they put into that. The next I want to talk about, last year at our CFT convention, the classified council that at a state level represents all the classified employees that we represent up and down the state, put a resolution to the delegates that asked for CFT to support for a classified day of action in Sacramento on May 21st. And so that is going to be a day to go to the Capitol and show what the classified employees do in education. Because so often if you talk about education, it's teacher, faculty. And most people don't even know who classified employees are or that classified employees exist. So this is a day for us to share what we do and how important we are. So the theme is no classes without classified employees, right? So we also want to extend an invitation. So we're doing this day with the classified employees and the people who support us. So we want to extend invitations to the Board of Trustees all up and down the state that represent our districts to join us on May 21st at the Capitol to show your support on what we do and what we bring to the college. I've said before at different places that my unicorn and rainbow day would be when I'm talking to somebody that I don't know, and they find out that I work for an educational system at the time, El Camino College, and they say to me, "What do you do for the college?" versus "What do you teach?" Because that's what we always get. What do you teach? And what we do as classified employees are so important to all of the educational systems, from early childhood all the way up into the universities. And people need to know that. So we're extending that. I can send you the flyers. I can send somebody a flyer that we'll share with all of you. Somebody, I can't say I'm new anymore. Okay. Somebody can tell me, they'll tell me who I can send it to, but I can send a flyer that will give you the information, and hopefully some of you will be able to join us and show support for the good work that we do here, and shout from the steps of the Capitol how important classified employees for these colleges and these schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll be there on May 21st. So I'll see you all there. Classified staff make everything run. All right? We're not just classrooms. None of this happens without classified staff. So thank you all very much for all your work. Appreciate you. So I want to talk a little bit about the March and March. That's why I wasn't here. The last one. You weren't here either, right?
I was here.
Oh, you were here because you came up the next day. Okay. So the March and March happened last month on March 7th. And we had a committee of about 30 people who met every single Friday from August 2023 all the way until the week before the March. And this committee was made of faculty, staff, students from up and down the state. All right. So we really do appreciate the committee. I also want to thank our executive director, Leslie Simon, who did much of the heavy lifting as far as making sure that everything is scheduled and permits are made and all the stuff that we had to do, and make sure everything came off without a hitch. And I also want to thank our internship coordinator, Juan Carlos Vasquez, because he's the one who got 180 of our students to go up to the March. So yeah, so he did an amazing job. He promised me he would do it. I doubted it for a second, and I will never doubt Juan Carlos again. All right, and I also want to thank another one of our staff, Robert Salazar, who did a lot of the scheduling that needed to be done as well. I also want to thank the Chancellor and the district for supporting this financially. If it wasn't for your contribution to make sure that the students are fed and their travel arrangements are taken care of, this probably couldn't have happened. So we really do appreciate you. You're responsible for those 180 students coming up. Overall, we had over 500 people who attended the march, right, which they said is one of the better marches they've had since COVID, because they said since COVID, these things have been struggling. Once again, about 200 of them, over 200 of them were from this district alone. And this kind of shows that this district takes a lead in the state, and it should take a lead in the state, and we will be taking a lead in the state from now on. No longer are we going to allow other districts to do the things that we can do, right? We have an important role in the state. Just being in Los Angeles, quite honestly, we're the political driver for the state, and we need to take that role seriously. Among some of the speakers were Student Trustee Cordova. Thank you very much. Assemblywoman Pilar Shivo. The state ASO had a representative, the state chancellor's office had a representative too, and Jeff Freitas, who was president of the California Federation of Teachers, was there as a speaker as well. We hope to make this an annual event, and that's our goal. And Juan Carlos did such a great job. I told him I'm turning it over to him. I want it to be a student-centered, student-run event, and he's going to ensure that that happens. We have to remember our futures are tied to our students' outcomes. And I know we talk about that a lot, and I sometimes feel like we give it a lip service, but I don't think we sometimes internalize that on any end, including our end sometimes as faculty. All right? We have to remember that our students' enrollments mean jobs for us, right? Our students' success means funding for the district, okay, which allows a lot of these programs to go on. And we have to keep remember that. Our theme for the March and March was fighting for our students' futures, or fighting for students' futures. And the day before this, we went up to lobby, and talked to some of the, the state representatives there and their staff. And a couple of things that I was pushing back on was one, AB 1705. And I heard the Campaign for College Opportunity was here earlier. And I have to tell you, they're not good for my blood pressure. Every time I hear them speak, my blood pressure rises a little bit because I don't think they fully understand or really care what's going on with our students. But I did see a difference in Sacramento now on AB 1705. A while back when I was lobbying for Mike Fong's AB 811, the first thing many of these politicians told me right when I walked in the door is, if this is about 1705, don't even bring it up. And I told them, no, it's not about 1705, about 811. This time, many of them were talking about, they came to me and said, we're considering the idea that we might need to look a couple levels below for English, or college level English and college level math, all right? And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But I also talked to them about expanding the college promise. Because when I heard only 10% of our students, 1 out of every 10 students, actually take advantage of the college promise, that means our other students are having to pay for college and possibly go into debt. And I think we need to understand that many of our students, for very good reasons, cannot take a full load. And that's unfair to them. And it's delaying their dreams. And it's going to be costly. And I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to them. I don't think that's going to happen during a bad budget. Don't think I'm not realistic. But you start the conversation now. You do not wait till the budget gets better. Start the conversation now. When that budget gets better, I will be jumping all over this idea of at least lowering it down to 9 units. And that will be better for our students. It'll be better for our enrollments, better for all of us in this room. All right. So some people ask, why do you care about this so much? I care about this because I care about our students. I honestly do. I love our students. Our students are amazing. I've always worked in my community. Since I was 13 years old, I've always worked in my community. And I've always cared about my community. And I'm still friends with some of the kids I used to coach when I was 13 years old and mentor some of them to this day. I care about our community. And I care about the community I live in. I live 1 mile away from where I started off in Pacoima, in Sylmar, and I now coach at Humphrey Park in Pacoima. That's a few blocks from where I grew up. And I love my community of Pacoima, but my community struggles and my community suffers. And I'm not down for the suffering of my community. You know, many people in my neighborhood, there's only 4 families in my whole neighborhood in the 2-block radius, okay, that is a single family living in that home. Outside of that, it's multiple families living in that home or people renting out the space to other people as well, right? And that's a problem for our community. And one of the ways that we can fix that problem is give people education, give people jobs, and do something about the price of housing, right? But also, I love the noble work that we do. I was a probation officer for 9 years, and law enforcement, no offense to them, they get way too much credit for doing noble work. But as law enforcement, as part of the probation department, did I change some lives? Yeah. I've had former young people who are in my custody contact me and tell me what I did for them. But what we do is so much more transformative and greater than what I ever did in that whole period of time that I was there. It's amazing the kind of students who come up to me now and tell me the things that they've done. I will be going to a graduation this month for one of my students, Isaiah Moore, okay? African-American gentleman, used to be in the military, is graduating from the master's program at USC. You know, I'm proud of Isaiah. I also had another student, Roland Sneed, who was a student I had at Valley College when I was an adjunct. He left here and left school when the whole thing at Ferguson happened because he was from the St. Louis area. He went down there to Ferguson, Missouri, and he protested and created a community-based organization out there. Later, he went back and got his bachelor's degree and now teaches junior high. Right. These are the kind of things that we do, and we need to protect that. So I just want to talk a little bit about AB 1705 since the Campaign for College Opportunity reared its head in this room once again. And I want to have a pushback. This concept of co-requisites and things like that is not going to work for our students. I was that student, and this is why I'm passionate about this. In today's world, I do not graduate. I still work at UPS. Would I have made a lot of money? Yes. Would I have been happy? No. Would my body be damaged? Definitely. All right. I would not have been, I would have not met my wife or have my son in today's world. All right. And I don't want to deny that to our students. AB 1705 doesn't take into account that many of our students do work full-time. Many of our students work part-time and have family obligations. They do not have time to hang out for a tutor. They are transit students who come in, take classes, and go home. All right. And often that's what they have to do. And we've lost students that we don't even know about. And I'm sorry to say, I feel like we don't care that we lost those students, that we ended their dreams. And I am not down for that. I appreciate the discussion of non-credit. And I think that we should talk to the experts in non-credit to get their advice on this. We should find a way to make this as a possibility. But I do think we need to bring back a few levels below so students can get credit while they're going to a class, take a course that they feel will help them graduate and help them move on. I think it's ridiculous that we keep pretending like we care about getting Black and brown kids into STEM, but then deny the courses they would need in order to move forward in STEM. All right, let's put our money and our time where our mouth is, and let's take care of all our students. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jeffrey Hernandez, District Academic Senate President. Yeah, so Vice President. Our Academic Senate President, Angela Echeverri, is unable to attend, and so here I am. She may join us via Zoom. First off, I wanted to express appreciation to the Chancellor and the board, and to the wonderful folks at West LA College for hosting the first in-person District Discipline Day since before the pandemic. It was attended by over 300 faculty and staff and administrators. We had the inspiring comments of our Chancellor, but also Michelle Henderson, who made it there despite the damaged ankle or foot. I don't know. It was like, that was amazing. And it was really appreciated. So the faculty had the opportunity to really re-engage with each other. You know what it's like over Zoom. It's hard to make those connections, and that was priority number one. So that was well received by the survey feedback that we've taken. Also, different disciplines focusing on different issues. For some of them, it was about AB 705, 1705 implementation. Particularly, a lot of concern about the validation of courses that are being put in place right now by the Chancellor's office, which essentially means the transfer level math courses leading to calculus being removed from community colleges. Just imagine a student starting off like Calc 1, no pre-calc, right? That's what's the way the law is being implemented. There's implications for not just those students pursuing a math major, but for STEM majors, right? So this has broad implications, and so those disciplines were discussing it. And I can say that, like my colleague James, I too was one of those students. In my case, it was the pre-transfer English class that I so desperately needed, and so obviously a lot of work still to come there. Also, there was discussions on how to align our curriculum across this district. That was very relevant for some districts. Others were looking at what alternative degree titles they can construct to smooth the process of equivalency. To enrollment was discussed by others, and also how to re-engage students in the face-to-face environment. So again, a lot of different matters for discussion, and people really appreciated receiving the update on legislation. And I wanted to bring up that point about legislation. It's been wonderful in this past year to have this collaborative relationship between the District Academic Senate and the board. Specifically, we were very much appreciated being able to support SB 895 Roth, a baccalaureate degree in nursing pilot program, where we were updated that's going through some rocky waters right now, and so we share the concerns. We are in that same boat. I look forward to learning more in advance of the meeting of the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges, where I have a resolution pending in support of that bill. Also, AB 2931 Fong part-time student tutor bill that's moving along, and we really appreciate being able to work collaboratively on that as well. I do have to add my comments to what you heard earlier from Martha Clayton and Marian Galindo regarding the board trustee resolution in support of providing scaffolded transfer skills non-credit courses for adult working learners. Again, we appreciate the board's leadership, but we really do, and the support on academic matters, right? Academic matters, right? So when it comes to academic and professional matters, right, we're the resource to come to seek support and to make sure that we can have our best foot forward. And I think that's what those comments were. So if there is that opportunity to take a pause, but I understand that maybe if there's some other timing matters that we're not aware of, then please speak to that. Otherwise, we'd look forward to be able to make really put our best foot forward and work collaboratively on that. Okay. Also, faculty are very much tuning in to the budget forecasts. It's not looking pretty. We're very concerned. We want to make sure that faculty voices are included as they have been thus far in those deliberations. But we're very concerned. Obviously, enrollment is a big part of that, as well as efforts to retain students, right? So if we can work together on that, I think we'll have our best foot forward there as well. I also wanted to mention that we received the district response to 2 of the 3 resolutions that we had forwarded to you on March 22nd. That was the resolution of no confidence vote in district response to address financial and procurement irregularities and effective actions to combat sexual harassment and discrimination. And the other resolution was a resolution on the use of third-party investigations to intimidate and retaliate against LACCD whistleblowers, witnesses, and district academic senate. So the district response we received on Monday. We had further clarification yesterday during consultation. This matter was going to the DS exec meeting this Friday. All are welcome to attend. It's already posted on board docs. And again, this is going to be about what the full body ultimately decides in May, when they meet in May. That's May 9th. But we look forward to ongoing collaboration, further clarification. I think it really helps. And I want to thank the Chancellor for extending that to us, and look forward to that next week. I also wanted to point out there was a third resolution, right? And the third resolution was in favor of California State Senate Bill 252. That's a bill that's really requesting divestment from fossil fuels by the largest pensions in the United States, CalPERS and CalSTRS, by the year 2031. So this is a pretty major undertaking. We're talking about divesting $14.8 billion in CalPERS and CalSTRS stock and bond investments. There's already a lot of support in the community for this, a lot of labor support for this. So this is something that really it's about living the commitment to sustainability, right? That we have been moving forward in so many different ways, right? And so it's also consistent with the Vision 2030 on that as well, right? Operating in a more sustainable way. So I would encourage you to look through that resolution and respond to that as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees and Chancellor. My name is Cristiano Zan, representing SEA Local 99. I want to say congratulations to AFT 1521A on the ratification of your contract. In recognition of Genocide Remembrance Day on April 24th, 2024, SEA Local 99 brings awareness to the groups of people who have found refuge in California, such as the victims of the Holocaust and the genocide of the Armenian, Assyrian, Greek, Cambodian, and Rwanda communities. We take pause to remember those who were lost because of man's inhumanity to man. On the following note, SEIU Local 99 members are outraged at the continuation of the rat infestation on the West LA College campus. Local 99 has sent correspondence to West LA administrators since May of last year, and that there has been little to no change in the situation. This is a safety and health hazard for our members, faculty, staff, and students because it is well known that rats carry airborne diseases. It is unacceptable as it is management responsibility to ensure the safety of Local 99 members, faculty, staff, and students. SEIU Local 99 demands better actions to be taken by the district to remove this infestation and prevent it from happening again. In addition, it is not just the rat infestation that is concerning. It is the retaliation, harassment, and bullying our members are enduring from management, which creates a greater toxic work environment condition. Our members are dealing with staffing shortage as it is. Management is pushing our members, to complete multiple assignments, and then they want to write them up for their attendance because they're burnt out. And this is unacceptable. And SEA Local 99 would not continue to stand for this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Henderson, members of the board, and Chancellor Rodriguez. For the record, I'm Deborah Harrington, President of the Teamsters, representing our district deans. And I want to congratulate our classified. Without you, we couldn't do what we do. But it's more important that students can get our unit will be holding its spring membership meeting on May the 3rd. We're going to be focusing, of course, on our newest contract. We're going to do some interactive tabletop exercises designed to help us know how best to apply our contract to improve our work and our work environment. We're also going to be participating in the district-wide leadership academy, and we've provided some input into its planning. There are numerous things to recognize, advocate for, and appreciate this month, as evidenced in several of the resolutions today. I did want to take a couple of minutes to acknowledge something else about this month. First, I want to speak on behalf of our deans, what I know down to my toes, and that is that our deans are powerful educators. They overwhelmingly, like me, began their professional lives in the classroom or in direct support services such as counseling, working to advance our students' learning and to help them achieve their educational goals. So many of them, like me, spent the majority of their careers teaching. I also know that what our deans appreciate most about their jobs is that it gives them the opportunity to stay close to the ground, to work with faculty and students, to understand their needs, and to deliver the resources they need to meet those needs to achieve student success. So our deans take great pride in the disciplines they earn their min quals in. For me, that's English. So as an English professor, I want to acknowledge that it's National Poetry Month. And no, I thought about reciting a poem for you, but instead, because there's so much talking already, but in the spirit of the month, I do encourage you to take down a poem, slowly read it, maybe breathe and think and feel. On a personal note, I want to extend my gratitude to Teamster Vice President Donna Mae Villanueva, who stepped in to lead our unit when I was temporarily away on bereavement leave. Dean Villanueva, along with our other officers, Carmen Dominguez and Marianne Guevara, embody our mantra. You know what our mantra is, right? Deans deliver. They, along with so many in this room, have lifted me up during a very difficult time. I'm deeply grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dean Harrington, as a personal point of privilege, I want to say it's good to see you. Anyone else? Okay, so we have
President Henderson, we have Angela Chaviri online.
yeah, I was just going to call on her. Dr. Echeverry?
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here on Zoom. Unfortunately, I'm currently indisposed, so I was not able to attend in person. But my name is Angela Echeverry, and I'm serving as the president of the District Academic Senate. I want to thank my colleague, Jeff Hernandez, for giving a great report on behalf of the DAS. I just want to add a couple of items. First of all, I do want to echo my concerns that were expressed by the non-credit and adult education faculty regarding the resolution on providing scaffolded pre-transfer skills non-credit courses for adult working learners. As we are dealing with the unintended consequences of AB 1705, we are concerned that the board is not talking to faculty on this important topic and therefore may be undermining efforts to best serve our students. Furthermore, as we approach the end of Hold Harmless, I do want to express my concern about the district's financial outlook after 2025. The district's own projections under every scenario, including the best possible scenarios, indicate that the reserves will be wiped out rapidly after the end of Hold Harmless. Even though we are reporting enrollment increases, the truth is that we have not recovered enough enrollment to ensure financial stability moving forward. Furthermore, there are a lot of concerns about the increased sophistication of bots. Unfortunately, we are not serving our students to the best of our abilities. The elimination of pre-transfer level math and English courses is disproportionately impacting our most vulnerable students. Last week, the San Diego Tribune published an article titled "Community Colleges Neglect Those Who Struggle with Math. We are professors who know what is missing." We can do better. And we really need to spread the word so that it is clear that some of our most vulnerable students are not being served. It's really painful to watch this. So I want to echo my colleague's comments, James McKeever, about AB 1705 and the unintended consequences that is having on our students. I think we can really take a look and evaluate the fallout of the implementation of this legislation, not only on students who require pre-transfer level preparation, but also on the STEM pathways. There are really some very troubling indicators right now of the impact that this legislation is having on STEM students. So again, we look forward to further conversations and collaboration in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Now we have received the Chancellor's monthly report, which includes activities at the colleges from the college presidents. Do any of the presidents wish to further comment or highlight anything not included in the written report?
Good afternoon. Here is Yolis, VP of Administrative Services for Dr. McCorders. At LA Trade Tech, as of last week, we received 1,000 applications for the eight.
Turn to the mic.
For the eighth cohort of the LA College Promise program. The college is in the process of planning a Summer Bridge Welcome Week, which will transition students who are joining the college from high school. This Saturday, April the 13th, the college will host our Super Saturday event that will support onboarding for K through 12 schools. We're also planning for Senior Day. Last year, we welcomed over 600 attendees, and we hope to see similar numbers this year. Our Basic Needs Center with the District Foundation will distribute student scholarships sponsored by United Way of Greater Los Angeles. In total, the college plans to award $21,500 worth of scholarships. Finally, this past weekend, our students attended the Skills USA State Conference in Ontario, California. We're pleased that our students earned medals in baking, pastry, culinary arts, and swept in the planning category, earning gold, silver, and bronze. The 3 gold medalists will go on to represent us at the national competition in Atlanta this June. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Henderson, Trustees, Chancellor. You have a lot of resolutions on the agenda. Thank you so much for recognizing every single one of them. I don't want to name them, but certainly I appreciate the acknowledgement of all these great efforts to recognize our diverse communities. Speaking about diversity, I do want to mention that last week we hosted a historic moment for ELAC in our partnership with the University of Univo, Universidad de Oriente. This is a university that's partnered with East LA College to provide social, cultural, and educational ties, including transfers of our faculty, our students, and hoping, if all things go well, the opportunity to provide some courses to students at Univo. I want to thank President Henderson, Trustee Buena for being there to support this event. We made the Salvadoran national news, so you look very, very, very dapper, President Henderson and Trustee Buena. Of course, let me continue with a couple more items. We are going to be published in the Career Letters Project for our dual enrollment programs being highlighted in that newsletter that's going out. It's a statewide newsletter. There are a couple of pieces that are in particular of interest to us. One is the partnership that we have with community organizations such as Carecen and Salef, and of course, with the involvement of our parents and the education of our students, particularly at the high school level. This has been instrumental in getting more of our students to take our courses. We know that the parents are highly involved in the education, and they need to be to ensure that the students are successful. 3 years ago, we began something with our classified staff, and I want to acknowledge the ones that are here today. At ELAC, we're doing 2 retreats where we carve out time specifically for them only to be able to get training, professional development, get speakers. Last week, we had the spring retreat for our classified staff when we had about 130 or so of our classified staff members attend that retreat. So again, kudos to them. The title was A Culture of Success, Creating a Culture of Success. And I believe creating a culture of success starts with our classified staff. So again, let's give them a round of applause for being here. Thank you so much. Couple more items. We are part of the 42 universities and colleges in California that are part of the College Course Program. For those of you that know, it is a program that allows for students to receive up to $10,000 for tuition in exchange for volunteer hours. And the neat piece about this particular program is that it includes Dreamers and AB 540 students. Many of our students are taking advantage of this program. We have about 90 or so students that are now part of the program. The program will continue. We had a press conference at Cal State LA with Josh Friday from the governor's office. We had the president of Cal State LA, President Eames, as well as Trustee Fong in support of this. We want subsequent years. We know the benefit of the program. And again, we appreciate the fact that AB 540 students were included. I will not go into more details about some of the events we had, but just know quickly we had a very successful business expo. We call it the Sisterhood Expo that took place last week. We had 56 minority women-owned businesses at East LA College. Yes, and approximately 600 participants. Many of the vendors sold out. So we're ready to do it again next year. We're ready to do our sisterhood, also our tea time luncheon. That it's going to be an annual event for us. We had 140 mainly women participate in that, and we recognize 6 magnificent among many women at East LA College. Of course, Lieutenant Governor Planakis was there, Dr. Marta Garcia, who's the president of Mount Sac, and Lenore French, who has a nonprofit that focuses on transforming the arts. So with that, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, Chancellor, and also want to echo Dr. Rahman's sentiments in regards to our classified staff. Congratulations. I know that there's a lot of our classified staff online making sure that the signature was a wet signature and that it was legit. I'm here to confirm it was legit. So thank you for that. Good job on that. So today I have a few announcements, and I'll start off with a few items. And of course, enrollment continues to be at the top of our priorities. So our early decision will be starting next week, and we bring out single schools at a time. We don't bring them all in mass because we want to give them VIP service, and we want to make sure that when they come to Harbor, they leave Harbor students, not just prospective students. So we do everything for them. So our early decision starting May 8th, every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. is going to be our registration days. Prospective students come in, they leave Harbor students. So every Wednesday from May 8th through September 11th, we'll have registration days for our students. And then I just wanted to give some few shout outs to our team that have been working hard. I know that this time of the year, our skates are on, our tennis shoes are tied up because we are going to be moving fast. So our commencement ceremony for Harbor College is on Tuesday, June 4th, and it's at 9 a.m. So you could attend ours and then attend maybe a second one, just saying. And so with that, I also want to give a huge shout out to our counseling faculty that are putting together the students discovering the marvelous world of majors. So they will be hosting an event where they're going to assist students on campus, find and guide them through their educational journey. So kudos to our counseling faculty at Harbor College. I also want to give out some kudos to our athletic student athletes. We had 21 student athletes with a 4.0 GPA for fall 2023. Absolutely. And then our students keep getting offers, scholarships to play at the next level, but they're also transferring. So congratulations to our athletics programs, our coaches, our faculty and staff that assist our students. I also want to give a huge shout out to our programs. And in particular today, I want to highlight our CalWorks program. We have one of our students that has been with us for some time. She came to us as a single mother, joined our CalWorks program. Before the CalWorks program, she didn't have a lot of direction, and that was evident from her transcripts. Well, I'm happy to announce today that she'll be graduating from Charles Drew University with her master's in spinal muscular atrophy. Yes, she will be going to Harvard University in the summer to research on gene expression patterns and neural. I don't even know how to say the word. So you see how exciting we are. And then I also want to give a huge shout out to Southern California Gas Company for getting 14 of our students ready for the workforce in regards to their job interviews. We took them to JCPenney. We had professionals helping our students pick out their professional attire. So thank you to Southern California Gas Company for that. And then, of course, I have to end the day because you know what's coming up. What's coming up May 10th, team? I don't know. So my team actually put something together for me, so I have to keep within the script on this one as much as possible. So, of course, May 10th is our culinary cup. So join us for a day filled with delicious dishes and very friendly competition. Whether you're a seasoned chef or just enjoy cooking as a hobby, this event is perfect for food enthusiasts of all levels. Watch our student chefs from Mission, Trade Tech, and Harvard College compete as they display their talents. And maybe you could pick up some tips for your kitchen adventures or misadventures. I added that one, so sorry, team. So don't miss out on the opportunity to taste some incredible creation and support our LACCD culinary arts students. Come hungry, leave inspired. Don't forget to buy your tickets. They're selling out quick. You could join our website. And if you feel so moved to sponsor the event, we have that opportunity as well. So thank you for that. And I'll see you guys May 10th.
I always hate following Luis. Couple of things. First off, congratulations to AFT 1521A, and I look forward to it. Also, congratulations to the men's basketball team at West. They made it to the final 8. So we're very proud of that. Couple of other things. First off, in partnership with the Department of Economic Opportunity and the Los Angeles Office of Education, Los Angeles County Office of Education, we're participating in $1 million American Rescue Plan grant in which we're training apprentice teachers. It's an apprenticeship program for assistant teachers. We've had 40 students finish, and we've got three more cohorts going, so we're very proud of that. The West Los Angeles College Child Development Center just received a $1 million grant through the Cal Fire Green Schoolyards program for the concept of child development and environmental justice at play. The grant will transform our dated playground into 3 forest outdoor classrooms. And according to the grant application, families will experience environmental justice activities, natural play equipment, and enhanced nature-based curriculum. And this grant really aligns with what we're doing with the Climate Center, so we're very excited about that. And a couple of other things. The money I told you all about over a year ago from the federal government, the $1.32 million for workforce development, about 10 minutes ago, it's confirmed we have it. So we're very excited about that. And I had the privilege yesterday of testifying before the Assembly Education Committee on AB 3142. That is the one to create the climate mobile unit. And it passed with a vote of 8-1-1. So it goes on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, trustees, President Henderson, Chancellor Rodriguez. I'm full of good news today. And I'm started with 1521A. It's great to see. Yeah. So many friendly faces that I've known through the years. First, the announcement is that peers have received the letter from Chancellor Christian. Our baccalaureate in manufacturing was approved. So we're moving forward. This morning, we had the Islamic Society of West Valley, approximately 1,000 participants that joined at Pierce Stadium for prayer and celebration. So it's been going on it's like a partnership that's existed for over 10 years. And this last week, we had a great time in Santa Clara. It still is the same. 4 of us went from the district. Vice Chancellor Alba Lopez, Trustee Hoffman, President Armida, Ornelas, and myself. And we had a great time. It was the Student Senate, California Community Colleges General Assembly, and we were the keynote speakers. And approximately 700 plus students from across the state participated in this event. And later on in the afternoon, Andra and I had a round table with the students. It was magical. And they stayed. We were between happy hour and the event. So they were there and they hung out the afternoon. This Sunday is a day of service with Assembly Member Gabriel at Pierce. And tomorrow is Flor y Canto, which is our 5th annual Chicano Studies activity. So that's it.
Thank you.
You left your glasses. With the glasses. I was inspired to sing a song for AFT 1521A, but it won't be this afternoon. But congratulations. You are the wind beneath our wings. Madam President, Chancellor Rodriguez, other honorable members of the board, we have a lot of wonderful news happening at Southwest College. First, I just want to recognize during the pandemic, many of you know, if you've been following the data, that we were one of the colleges that suffered the most. We lost almost 22% of our student population. I just want to recognize our administration, faculty, staff that has been working so diligently over these last couple of years. We've managed to recover based on last spring to this spring. Over the last 2 years, we've been able to recover 15% of our headcount over those last two, so from spring to spring of last year, of the year before, 2022. We've been able to recover approximately 30% of our enrollment. And so we are continuing to move forward and recover our students and our population. So we're looking forward to that, the continual hard work of our campus. Also, I want to recognize that Ms. Kelly King shared with me that we have been given a grant of $105,000 from the California Community Foundation. And so we're so thankful for that, because it's going to help us continue to move forward with our dual enrollment, which had a significant impact on a lot of the recovery of our enrollment and our student headcount. So we appreciate that. We also want to recognize that for our nursing program, the one that we are currently engaged in having national recognition, I was informed that over the last 3 consecutive quarters, we have had a 100% pass rate for the first-time test takers for the NCLEX nursing exams. And so we're the hard work of our director, Director McClellan, and her, the other nursing faculty at Southwest College, surely that is going to be a feather in our cap as we continue to pursue our national accreditation. Also want to recognize certainly the District Foundation, Vicki Chang, and the NCLEX grant program. For nearly 8 years, they have been paying the cost for the test for our students. And so we appreciate the district office and their continual support for our program. Let me just acknowledge this, because this is something that obviously I think is one of the key areas of that helps Southwest College continue to support its community. Higher LAX has reached a new milestone. We have now reached over approximately 450 graduates, and those graduates have earned approximately $17 million in salary and benefits since it's in session. So thank you for that continual work with LAWA. I'll say it publicly. We appreciate that continual partnership with them as our students benefit from that program. Lastly, want to certainly extend the invitation to all of you and everyone else here. Los Angeles Southwest College is honored to be the host of the Black graduation ceremony. And so that Black graduation ceremony will take place at the Cougar Stadium on May the 23rd at 3 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, President Henderson, members of the board, Chancellor Rodriguez. Lots to celebrate today. I want to start off by congratulating 1521A for your successful contract. And I will be brief and share with you a significant celebration at LA Mission College, where this semester we have reached the highest head count in the history of Mission College. Just over 12,321 to be exact. We had reached it last fall, and now this spring we exceeded fall's head count. So really excited about that. And that includes the increase in all of our equity efforts that we've identified, which is reaching our incarcerated youth, increases in dual enrollment, increases in our promise students, and of course, significant increases in adult education, which includes, of course, the Pacoima site, where already we have 500 students this semester and over 800 enrollments. So yes, lots to celebrate. And I look forward to seeing you all at the Food and Wine Festival on the 27th. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to join the chorus of my colleagues in congratulating AFT 1521A and thanking them for all their daily hard work in serving our students. Thank you very much. I think their energy level's coming down a little bit as we go along. A few updates. I'm kind of superstitious, so I do this cautiously, but I will say our baseball team now has won 14 straight games, which is a really big deal. And in conference, their record is 92%. So they're having an absolutely amazing season. We're hosting a lot of parent nights, and we're going out to the high schools as well, hosting them at the college, including some focused on Latinx parents, Black and African American students, and on April 18th for Armenian and Russian speaking families. So we're excited about those. Yesterday, we had our first senior day and include Grant High School. With senior days, that's our capstone experience for the whole senior year where we bring them to campus. I think all 9 colleges are doing this and giving them not just an orientation, but thanks to the district for changing the calendar last year, we actually enrolled them on the spot. And so the goal is to have everybody leave and not just enrolled for the fall semester, but enrolled full time. And it's having remarkable impacts. Let's see. Tonight we have a Patrons of the Arts reception. Just to also, if you live for especially the board members in the Valley, on April 21st, we have our very first farmers market, Sunday, April 21st. So we've been working on that, as you know, for many years. And I'll end it on a note for our speech team. Our speech team just got back onto the state and national scene this year. And I'm thrilled to announce that they have won at the national competition a bronze medal. And Sarah Chowdhury took home a bronze medal herself for informative speaking. So we're excited about their performance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chancellor Rodriguez, President Henderson, and trustees. I also want to heartfelt congratulations to our classified staff. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do to support our students and our community. Just a few updates from LACCD College. I'll be brief. We had our City Senior Days Resource Fair on March 18th. LACCD held the Resource Fair on campus, and we welcomed over 1,000 students to our campus who have committed to attend LACCD College. We are excited about that. Also, we had our annual Women's History Month celebration tea on March 19th, which we hosted on our campus. Thank you for all those that came to support all the amazing women that are doing good things in our community and also nationally for that. In addition to partnerships, we're also doing a lot of work in working with our executive director of the foundation. I had a chance to meet with Kaiser Permanente, vice president of medical group, and also the James Powell, who's the head of radiology. They want more of our students. So we are committed to working with our faculty to ensure that we get students to the program at Kaiser and to provide them job opportunities moving forward. And I also want to say just a huge thank you to our chancellor, our board president, and all those trustees, community members that attended our investiture, the campus's investiture, including mine, to support the good work that's happening on our community. We had a chance the day before the investiture to do an inaugural professional development where we did the ultimate professional development for faculty, staff, that was open to the community. So we want to continue to work on supporting all those that continue to make our students excel inside the classroom and also outside the classroom. And in addition to that, the investiture got 160,000 views on YouTube, which got global attention to where we have many folks that have nationally and also internationally showed interest in terms of ways we can partner to bring more students from the global community and also our local community. So we will be having those partnership conversations to see how we can continue to bring more students to our campus community. So thank you for welcoming me to this campus community, to LACCD College. and excited to be part of this district.
Thank you. Now, before we move on to item G, I'm going to circle back to a request from the resource table. We have Kalonda Hawkins from SEIU 21 speaking on behalf of Bruce Hicks. Ms. Hawkins?
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, I'm sorry. And congratulations to our sisters and brothers at 1521A. Congratulations, and you deserve it. The first thing I want to let everyone know, we apologize for Bruce Hicks not actually being able to join our meeting. He had an emergency at the last minute, so that's the reason why I'm speaking on his behalf. He wanted me to let you know that we will be having our first annual professional development for SEIU 721. This is our first one since coming back from COVID. We're going to do a lot of training. We're going to have team building and also understanding our contract, and also just some inside training to let our new members understand what it is to be part of this wonderful district. We're hoping to have our meeting hopefully around June 14th or 21st. We're not sure, but we will let the board know what's the exact date once we do actually pinpoint it. And we're also going to ask a lot of members from the district to actually come out and do some presentations. That's all I have today for SEIU 721. And thank you.
Now we'll move on to reports and recommendations from the board. First off, Student Trustee Cordova.
Good afternoon, everyone. It feels like forever since I talked to you guys. But at the at the Student Affairs Committee, we discussed the potential solution that we would like to present to the board for departments that require a third-party material that is not covered by UPS. So currently, we know that Alex is one of them that is used by the chemistry department. And we would also like to dig deeper into how the EOPS program will work with the new bachelor programs that we now have on the campuses, and how those resources will be allocated throughout the 4 years versus the 2. I'm also happy to announce that the proposal to raise student workers' pays, the proposal to raise bilingual student workers' pay was approved at the SSCCC General Assembly. And I will keep you updated on the next steps that we will take to get this action implemented across all California community colleges. I would also like to give a quick recap of my Washington, D.C. trip. It was absolutely amazing. I got to just talk to just so many well-rounded individuals. Of course, we were there to protect the DREAM Act. We talked to a lot of politicians regarding our ideas in that, how we would like to keep this act moving forward, because of, as you know, a lot of our students depend on this resource. We also spoke about the Pell Grant funding, on how we want to allocate more of those funds towards part-time students and ex-offenders to make them eligible for financial aid. And I also discussed with the ASGOU presidents, well, I asked them a question. I said, if they could fix one thing that would make their campus better, what would it be, seeing as I can't be at each campus? East LA gave a report that they hope to see an improvement on the cameras. They do see that there's a lack of functional cameras. City would like an update on the completion of the cafeteria. And I urge all campuses that don't currently have cafeterias to keep your students updated. That is a sacred space that most students do need. And Harbor would like just to improve some of the outreach in regards to like the student program services that they have on campus. Mission would like to see an increase on the student workers budget. I did inform them that is a state effort, but of course that is just something that they brought to the table. Trade would like to have an update on the parking structure by the tech building and when will it be completed. Pierce says that there are some hazardous sidewalks that should be repaired near the Shepherd Stadium. And then Valley brought up a really cool idea that has been floating around for some time now, but it has to do with the idea of like a prayer center. As we know, this is something that has already been presented, but we were thinking of something more along the lines of a unity center, because we do know that there are multiple communities within the campuses that don't have like a sacred space. And we do know that there isn't always the infrastructure or the space on campus to give each of those communities those spaces. So a unity space or unity center would be for all communities, LGBTQIA+, undocumented, or those who need to go somewhere to meditate, pray, and just like a safe space, or even the potential opportunity to nap there during finals, just a space to provide for students. So that's something that we did talk about. So yeah, that was a little bit of my recap. And of course, the March in March went amazing as well. So just a lot of great advocacy work in March. Love it. And I can't wait to share more of the work that we have to come.
Thank you, Student Trustee Cordoba. VP Eno.
So the Legislative and Public Affairs Committee met on Wednesday, March 20th. Things move so quickly, so I'm not really going to go over what we really discussed because it's already changed, but we did get an update on the primary elections from Professor Fernando Guerra from LMU, so that was pretty exciting. Hopefully he has a crystal ball to help us understand what's going to happen in the general. And then basically what we're up to now is on, despite being on spring recess this past month, this past week, we've been really busy this past month for federal, state, and local legislative meetings. So thank you to Maria Veloz, who is in here somewhere, keeping us on track. On March 22nd, President Biden signed a 6-bill fiscal year of 24 government funding package, which includes labor, HHS, ed, and funding for overall funding for 11 appropriation bills now expired on September 2024. 2 Senate community projects funding requests were submitted to Senator LaFonza Butler and Senator Alex Padilla to extend the Metro Go Pass initiative that we have. Our state-sponsored bills are moving swiftly through the legislative process. On April 3rd, AB 293, the Fong peer-to-peer tutoring bill, did pass through Assembly. Public Employee and Retirement Committee unanimously also with the vote of 7-0. Thank you to everyone that supported. I know Senate was a really good spirit leader for all of this work. Also, AB 3142, Jones Sawyer, the Climate Center mobile unit, was heard yesterday. Thank you to President Limbaugh, who showed up to advocate for it in the Assembly of Higher Education Committee, and it passed with 8-1-1 vote. So we're moving forward on that one as well. I think something kind of challenging and really frustrating for us at the community college level is despite we had really strong statewide support on Senate Bill 895, the Roth bill, to allow us to do ADNs to BSN programs, was actually pulled from the Senate Educational Committee in the 11th hour yesterday, right? It was yesterday. The request from the author that there's new amendments, and so we're waiting to hear to hopefully work through that and push forward. So that one does need to be heard by the end of the month to stay alive this legislative year. So please contact our support networks in all of this because it'll be really great for students. And as we heard from Southwest, we have 100% passing rate of the NCLEX exam, or which is unheard of. And so the work we do is really good, and the need for nurses is urgent. So thank you. Oh, also, on the 30th, we have our next APITA Plus meeting virtually. So if you can attend, it'll be from 12 to 1 p.m. on April 30th. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next, Trustee Hernandez, please summarize the Ad Hoc Committee on Student Basic Needs.
Sure. We met on Friday, March 8th at LA Mission College, where we were able to do a quick tour of the Basic Needs Center there, which was really great. We've been working on getting student feedback from our pilot housing program that the district has been conducting with the 5 nonprofits that we've partnered with. And then we've also, in tandem with that work, we're looking to draft a contract review rubric for those nonprofits so that we can continue to refine our program and evolve and be better at delivering those services to our students. The biggest piece of work that we're undergoing right now is going through the student housing policy. This would be a policy that would be implemented in the event that the district built its own housing. We're diving into that work now. We started it at the last meeting. I would highly recommend that if you are interested in weighing in on the housing policy, you're always these meetings are open. Our next meeting is this Friday at 9 a.m. at ELAC. It is also on Zoom. please feel free to reach out to me if you're interested. We will be going over prioritization of housing, and what types of priorities or weights the district will utilize in terms of student housing and applying for student housing this Friday. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next, we'll have Trustee Hoffman, if you please summarize the Budget and Finance Committee meeting.
Thank you. The Budget and Finance Committee met also on March 20th, and the committee approved or has approved and is on the agenda today, recommended for approval the underwriting syndicate for the sale of election 2022 Measure LA and tender offer refunding bonds. It's on the agenda later today, so I'm asking for this body to approve. The transaction has the potential to save our taxpayers who support our bonds through their property taxes hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this is really a great thing on their tax bill through this bond refinancing. So again, asking for your support. The syndicates that we approved, both at 50%, is Bank of America and Ramirez and Company. So very excited to have been able to approve this and look forward to saving our taxpayers lots of money. We also got a report on income from our lease property within the district. And I think we've asked for some follow-up information because we didn't actually get it by specific location. And so that'll be forthcoming, hopefully, on the next board agenda. And then we also got a presentation on the 5-year projections, which Chancellor, I think it would be really great if we could maybe have a committee of the whole presentation on our 5-year projections and the budget, because I think many of us are worried about what is going to happen at the end of Hold Harmless. This year we look good. We know we're in for some pretty trying budget times moving forward. And then, of course, we got an enrollment update. Congratulations to Mission College. Congratulations to everybody on increasing enrollment. But I have not heard that 12,000 headcount figure before. So great job, Dr. Ornelas, and great job, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next, Trustee Vella, if you could please summarize the proceedings of the FEMPOC meeting from March 20th.
Yeah. So we had a very, I believe, thorough presentation on the East LA kinesiology, wellness, and athletic center. So I don't know if much has been told about it to the trustees, but I do highly recommend that you get individually briefed or informed, but it is a monumental project. I think that the members of FEMPOC were extremely impressed with the type of facility that's going to happen. It's just going to really change the outside of East LA College. It's going to be, I think, I believe it's something worthy of our college athletes. I know some of you saw the Netflix documentary, right? What was it called? Yeah, Last Chance U. And from there, I mean, really the conversations around, what our student athletes deserve. This is really where LACCD is excelling in meeting what our student athletes need facility-wise. And, I hate to say it, but it should definitely happen at each college in the future. And when we bond more money. But the reality is that this building and really it's a facility. It's absolutely stunning. I was just so impressed. I think Trustee Hernandez and Trustee Eno were also very impressed. Chancellor was there. So, I will leave it up to the Chief Facilities Executive and the President if they want to come and do a presentation in the future here. But it was just fantastic. So kudos to all of you. And I would like to thank all of you in your build program for putting that together. Thank you. And by the way, it had faculty input as well and classified, and it had from ELAC, it had a lot of input from our students. So I want to give them a round of applause because it was a big undertaking. And then Another big win for us is that, we basically are very successful in how we attain state bond matching dollars to a lot of our projects. So we had a report on the state capital overlay funding, and you'll see really is that we capture a good 40%, or probably, I don't know how much the percentage is, but it's high. You're looking at me like, am I the wrong number? Or... Yeah, I mean, that's insane. I mean, we capture a lot of those bond dollars. So, these bond dollars are voter approved. There will be AB 247 and SB 8 this year. I don't know which one's going to pass through the legislature and get it finally approved, but, we're preparing for those through these IPPs, right? Initial project program. So, again, extremely proud of the LACCD build and facilities team, because again, we're capturing the greater allotment of these dollars, and it's really, I'm really proud to see that. And then finally, something that I want to also thank, well, first I want to thank Trustee Buena for last year coming with me to East LA College to look at the stadium, because it was really falling apart a little bit. And then want to thank Trustee Vettis for continuing to work with the Chancellor and our Chief Facility Executive and the presidents to look at the LA Building Renewal Initiative. So these are basically buildings that, there's around 45 of them that really need sprucing up in a major way, whether it's from air conditioning to asbestos removal at each of our colleges. So I really want to thank the college presidents as well for participating in this, and staff, because they work really hard. So these are all really good things and good news. So thanks to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And next up, on Trustee Veras, will you please provide a summary of the Athletics Ad Hoc Committee meeting?
The committee met on March 19th and had a number of coaches, athletic directors, and a few administrators participating. Essentially, we held a conversation about the overview of the state of athletics at LACCD, and with the goal of essentially preparing a survey for our student athletes and our athletics staff and coaching. The topics of conversations included everything from the challenges of part-time and stipend-only coaches, to student housing, to the support staff that's necessary to have success with student athletes. And so that dialogue is going to continue. And again, the goal is to essentially have a survey for our student athletes and staff to assess overall what we're doing. I think we're all very proud of the events and activities and the successes of our programs, but we also confront many challenges as well. And so, including a couple of schools that are restarting their athletic programs after a few years of not having them. So next meeting, we'll continue this dialogue.
Thank you for that. And finally, I will summarize the proceedings of the Institutional Effectiveness and Student Success Committee that I chaired on Wednesday, March 20th. I'm here at the ESC. The committee received 3 presentations for information from Vice Chancellor Albo Lopez and Mr. Maury Pearl. The first, well, actually 2. The first was status of African-American students in the LACCD, which was also presented at LA Trade Tech College on February 29th. And second, a report on the LACCD SCIF metrics, and kind of a little bit of a deep dive into how the metrics determine programmatic efforts across the district. And due to time constraints and a very lively discussion, our monthly district enrollment update was tabled for our next meeting. So ends that report. So next up, moving on to our next item, may I have a motion and a second on the California Community College District Trustees Board of District Election?
Do we need to first what's the procedure here? Because we need to nominate 7 members. So do we do a motion and a second to the item?
Motion and a second to discuss, to open discussion.
Okay.
And then figure out your list.
Okay, so I will move to open discussion.
I can second.
Great.
Okay, moved by Hoffman, second by Eno.
And then may I make comments
Yes.
first? Okay, so I have been on the Community College League of California CCCT board now I'm in my 3rd term, so I want to say I've been on for 6 or 7 years. And I am currently serving as president of the board. And in all my years on the board, I have not seen 7 openings and 7 incumbents actually running to fill those openings. We usually have a few open seats, but I would like to propose that we re-elect all of the incumbents. And I will tell you that in all the years that I've been on the CCCT board, this has been the most progressive of individuals on this board in all of the years that I've served. They've risen to the occasion. They have come together to support many of our pieces of legislation that we're promoting. As a matter of fact, just that they were testifying on behalf of the league and the league board on our student tutor bill. They are co-sponsors on SB 895. And every time I've called on this group of people, email or in person, they've just been a fabulous group to work with. So I would like to move to approve all of the incumbents. And if you need me to list their names, I'm happy to do that. Yes. Okay. So the incumbents are Nan Gomez Heitzberg from the Kern Community College District. And just as an aside, she was recently named by the governor to the California Community Colleges Board of Governors. So congratulations to Nan. Hortensia Armendariz from Imperial Community College District. Barbara Calhoun, who I think we all know, from Compton Community College District. Eva Davis, my boss, in the College District. Greg Pensa from Allen Hancock Community College District, Bernardo Perez from the Ventura Community College District, and Debbie Akeda from the State Center Community College District. And she's actually a former CEO, Chancellor of the same district. Was that okay? Of the Clovis Community College District, and she's just been very active with all of our work around DEIA. So those would be my recommendations.
Thank you for that. Any further discussion, colleagues?
I want to support Trustee Hoffman's recommendation.
Okay. So we have a motion. Is there a second to accept Trustee Hoffman's recommendation?
Second.
Second by Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Eno.
Yes.
Trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Bennett.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. Now, may I have a motion and a second authorizing board travel?
So moved.
Moved by VP Eno. I'll second. Henderson. Roll call, please. Yes.
Trustee Henderson, I wanted to be added to the NALEO trip just to save
Okay.
the challenge of re-agendizing it next month.
Madam
so.
Board Secretary. Okay.
Okay, with that amendment, student trustee Cordova advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee
Sorry.
Buelna.
Could I be added as well? Thank you.
So we'll start. Student trustee advisory vote.
Oh, Deputy Chancellor, can we ask the that would have been, are you okay with adding?
I accept the friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Student trustee advisory vote.
Yes.
Trustee Buelna.
Yes.
Trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez.
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Eno.
Yes.
Trustee Vella.
Yes.
Trustee Bennett.
Yes.
Thank you, colleagues. And now on to item H1. Before I ask for a motion, Trustee Hoffman, did you want to speak?
Yeah. So are we allowed to have? Can we have discussion before there's a motion and a second on the floor? Because Oh, we don't have a, okay, so I guess we need a motion in a second before we can
Okay,
discuss.
so can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion by VP Eno
Second.
and second by Hernandez. Do we, okay, discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first of all, I really appreciate the dialogue today by our public speakers. Really, really appreciate it so much. I, like Jeff and James, benefited from non-credit actually, sort of math remediation. I don't know if many of you know this, but I was on the 22-year plan to get my bachelor's degree. It took me a really long time. And when I finally returned in a serious way to college, I was working full time and I had 2 little kids, and it was really hard to do math. Like if I were just thrown into a transfer level math class, I'm pretty sure I would not be successful. But I fortunately attended a university that had sort of an open lab, non-credit class. I had access to faculty, but I had workbooks that I had to like work through kind of on my own time until I was ready to enroll in a transferable level math class. I have been working in the community college system since 1997. I do think that AB 705 has been a game changer for some students. For many students, it's been a game changer. But for other students, it hasn't. And AB 1705, has really kind of rocked our world. Right? I mean, I see some of my colleagues shaking their heads. I don't know what the actual solution is. I did meet with Assembly Member Jackie Irwin. When you have students that have been out of college for a very long time and they have other obligations, many of our students that don't attend full time, many that have full-time jobs and children, this was my attempt at sort of just saying, this board recognizes that, and this board is ready and willing to support reforms around AB 1705, whatever those look like. And so whether or not we adopt the resolution today, I'm not wedded to the resolution. What I am committed to is making sure that we're serving all students in an equitable way. And I really appreciated our non-credit faculty coming forward. I'm really excited that you're on those committees with Vision 2030. And so I think this board would, take direction from our faculty who are in the trenches and know our students best as to whether or not, we should adopt this resolution. I would like to adopt the resolution and certainly open to amendments just to show that we are supportive of making sure that we're serving all of our students in an equitable way. When I did talk to the author, Jackie Irwin of AB 705 and AB 1705, she was under the impression that there were some programs at some other community colleges that had something similar to what we were proposing here today. And I'm not sure about that. So I would love for someone to sort of take the ball and run with that and figure out, what are those programs and are those programs working? And I do want to address Angela Echeverry's comment. I don't think this board, anybody on this board would try to undermine faculty. We know the role of faculty. I understand 10+1. That is not what we are trying to do. We're just trying to really make sure that we're supporting students. And so that's the comment that I wanted to make. And I will look to my colleagues as to whether or not we feel like we should support this resolution. There's a motion and a second on the floor.
Thank you for that, Trustee Hoffman. Any other?
I do have something, but
Well, we'll start down at this end. Trustee Bowman, did you?
Yes, I didn't support AB 705 or 1705. I thought it was just a hatchet job from and we specifically knew that there were gaps. We absolutely knew that. And I think it's interesting. Normally you have, when there's a pendulum all the way to an extreme of 705 and 1705, it takes a few years. It kind of happened real quick, that the pendulum is now going back. So I'm a little confused by the resolution. I mean, Trustee Hoffman, I have a 99% support rate of everything we do. I just don't get what we're doing and how it fits in to everything. And I think one thing I remember from going through this debate is that 100% of the 100% of our faculty, at least the leadership, were not in support of 705 and 1705. We went against that. So now in this, how, and maybe I missed it, so it would be important from DAS and from AFT, even though it's two sides of the same head, but if you support this resolution.
So I can answer that. I mean, I don't know if we can have, I don't know that we are allowed to have dialogue with back and forth when there's a motion on the floor, but you know, currently, Trustee Buona, a student who is enrolled, gets, you know, enrolled into a transferable math class can take a class with a co-requisite and other support. So sometimes a math class could be a lot more than 3 or 4 units. And what this resolution does, it recognizes that sometimes a returning adult, someone who's like a working learner, might not be able to add on all those units, and would allow us to have a standalone non-credit pre-transfer level math class that we wouldn't direct a student into, but available if a student felt more comfortable doing that first before jumping right into a transferable level math class. Currently, the law does not allow for that. So all of this says is that we would support having a non-credit option for students who wanted to do that. This isn't mandating anything. We're not writing curriculum. We're just showing that we would support that if the Chancellor's office would allow us to offer a course like that.
Maybe if I can make this, if we want reform of 705 and 1705, let's just say that. You know, let's just say, you know what, we want reform. What that reform might look like, don't necessarily, you know, I'd repeal the thing, right? But that's not where we're at. I think legislatures are, so I think if we direct Trustee Hoffman, just a suggestion, right? I'll vote to support this, you know, because I trust what you're doing. But I just, operationally on the ground, unless it's going to change statewide policy, like for instance, we could direct our awesome policy team in Sacramento to begin working on a reform package, right? I just want it to be functional, and I just don't see functionality, especially if DAS and 1521 are not on board, or maybe they're neutral.
Well, I do think FACT is looking at posing maybe something similar to what is on the table today. And I'm sure they're going to work with every single constituency group and, you know, all of their faculty across the state. I don't think it's our job as a board to sort of dictate that. I think it should organically come from faculty, but that's just my.
Can we ask Jeff or against do it?
Yeah, sure. And I would love to hear from from our non-credit faculty as well.
Yeah. So this is where I brought up whether there's a timing issue or not. So, you know, we've been getting guidance from the State Chancellor's office regarding AB 1705 implementation. And you know, focus currently has been in the STEM. That's the STEM classes are on the chopping blocks. But as we all understood previously, there were restrictions for credit and non-credit coursework for any students who already have a high school diploma or equivalent. And so one of the things that was put into 1705 is that we can't use non-credit coursework to substitute or replace the English and math coursework that's no longer permitted. Now, if we're talking about a non-credit course that's identical to what was previously, you know, allowed, then that's probably not going to be viable. It's not feasible unless the law's changed, and it gets back to the issue of changing the law, which probably should be pursued anyways. But if we're talking about coursework that supports the skill development, then that's different. That's not replacing a previous course, and that's different if it's not what was previously on the books regarding non-credit. And remember, non-credit, the level of the preparation was different. Now we're talking about, you know, how do we envision non-credit in these new ways? That's why it's really important to get the non-credit faculty, together, perhaps, to come up with more fine-tuned language. But it may be the case that having the board communicate a position to be as flexible as possible in ways that are consistent, with the discipline experts, that might have an effect. We just don't know what the chancellor's office is going to do. I mean, when it comes down to how they're interpreting things, it seems like they're always interpreting things in a very strict way, beyond what even their legislative supporters had perceived was going to be the case. So there's the change in the law issue, and then there's the issue of taking an affirmative stance, of being flexible. And I think that's what I read in the resolution. But again, I think the wording needs to be tighter, and I think the non-credit discipline faculty can really help with that. So I believe just speaking for myself, postponing to the next month would give that time to do it. So I'm not sure if that's what you are all considering, but I thought I just share that opinion.
Thank you. That's helpful. Thank you.
Can I say something? Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, no, go ahead, Alexa.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Student trustee
My
Cordova.
apologies, James. I support, I believe, like the district's resolution on this, because as a student who was out of college for a while and then I came back, if I would have been forced to go into those classes, I definitely would have felt a little bit challenged. However, due to the timeline that I wanted to go to, I forced myself to go into those college ready courses without going to the prerequisites. So I think or without going to the intermediate classes. So I think having those hybrid options for students to have a choice, not whether the state is forcing them to do it or whether the district is forcing them to do it, but as a choice, as if they feel as if they want to. So I support this resolution, but I also support Trustee Wona, as if we do need to take state efforts in supporting our students, because if right now what I'm reading on the legislation, it seems like this is going to be forced on the students to jump into these college ready courses with the option that they can go to non-credit. But I agree, like it should be reamended on a state level wise. And as a district, we should have the hybrid options. This is coming from an individual who was in this predicament. And I don't want to speak on the students, how they feel on it, because I have not yet presented this to them.
Thank you for that. And the discussion wasn't intended to have another full discussion on this. So Dr. McKeever, you're here. If you can make your comment really, really brief.
I'll do my best. I want to say that I think this is a step in the right direction, but I feel like it's a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Okay. And I think that that's part of the problem. I think that this is one possible solution. One of the things I'm concerned with is that if we're going to have a bunch of English and math teachers teaching these level of courses, are they going to be compensated adequately? Because we know non-credit does not get compensated at the same level, even though many of the courses should, because there's a lot of requirement. For instance, if you're teaching ESL, there's a lot of writing requirements, reading requirements that are required, and at the same time, they're getting paid less money to do it. I don't think English and math, it would be fair to English and math teachers to ask them to do that type of work for less money. And I think that's why we do need to talk with the non-credit people. We're experts on this to see how feasible it is. What would this course look like? Also for English and math professors as well. Once again, it's a step in the right direction, but I do agree with Trustee Buelna. What we really need to do is amend AB 1705.
Thank you for that. Colleague?
So I know there's a motion and a second. I would like to make a friendly amendment to maybe pull the item, allow some time for faculty to work on the item, and then we're happy to bring it back. Except what's the
I don't want to support
process?
that unless I get a report on 1705, 705, the impacts, what's been going on. The last time we got any report on this was, I believe, 3 or 4 years ago, when the legislation, when the chancellor implemented it through a memo throughout the district. That was like the last time we had any report.
We have had some reports through.
I haven't. Well, the full board hasn't. No, and that's what needs to happen, because, I can't make. Well, first of all, I agree with Trustee Buelna that we really need to just start to look at, you know, the mirror and talk about how this was a very Sacramento-driven political ploy that was, you know, by influential Latinos to put this on us. We did it, you know, we've been implementing it, but I don't even know right now if it's working. I don't know if putting a student in transfer math without them knowing pre-calculus is working. I don't know if they're dropping out because, like, to me, if I show up and I only took math analysis in high school, and now I go to ELAC and I see that I have to pass this calculus course or transfer math course in order for me to become a nurse or pre-med, you know, I don't know who's dropping out. I have no clue. So it's not just about us making the decision to put this out, you know, another month, but we really need to have, you know, and maybe I'm having a committee of the whole next committee day, which is next week. So maybe ISS can have one too, where you open your committee to have this report on 1705 and the impacts, because I have no clue what's going on.
Thank you for that.
Sorry, and I agree. I think that there all should be like a student feedback report as well, as far as like how are the support classes, because I took statistics with support. I did okay. And so I think there should definitely be just more student feedback, because this is in regards to what the students are going to be doing. So I don't think the district or the state should be deciding for them.
And we agree.
So can we pull the item?
Yes.
So
We have a motion, and can we get a second?
I was a sec. I'm okay with the amendment.
Vela made a recommendation to bring it back with data.
Yeah.
So we can make another amendment as we, I guess.
On the amendment.
So you could-
A friendly amendment as we pull it.
Yeah.
To bring, when we bring it back to add this information. Can we do that?
Right. To bring direct staff to
Okay.
bring the report with. So what happens when you have a first and a second, and the motion will not carry because there's no majority? It dies on the floor. So a new motion can be reintroduced to actually calendar it to a date certain or a date uncertain. And then you take a first and a second on that, and you pass that motion to
So
calendar.
we have a first and a second, we have to go through a vote. And then-
If it doesn't pass it, it dies on the floor.
What's the current motion on the floor?
It's the amendment to pull, I mean, not the.
It's
amendment,
in
sorry, to
support.
pull the item.
Oh, the original amendment.
Yeah, the original.
original
it's
motion.
the original
Okay,
motion.
So we let it die.
Yeah,
Okay.
you let it die.
Got
So,
it.
die people.
Wait, what?
So
No.
you would vote
You would
no
vote
to
no
the
if you don't
original
want it
motion.
passed.
So it
Exactly.
dies on the floor.
I'll make
And
a new
then, so
motion.
you would have a new motion to obviously calendar it to a date certain.
Understood.
Okay, so we need to first vote on the old motion.
Yes.
We have to we have to,
Say no.
go ahead.
Just, yeah. So there's lack of, obviously majority to pass that. So it dies on the floor. So now the new motion, go ahead, trustee
Oh,
Hoffman.
I make the new motion now?
Yes.
I move
Oh.
to,
You should vote first.
Sorry,
Yeah, we have to vote.
there wants to be a roll call.
Yeah.
for the record.
Yeah, okay, roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
No.
trustee Boulna,
No.
trustee Henderson. Trustee Henderson,
No.
trustee Hernandez, trustee
No.
Hoffman,
yeah, no.
trustee
No.
Eno. Trustee Vella,
No.
trustee Vera.
No.
Okay, now I move to pull the resolution.
Right.
Bring it back next month, along with a report to the full board. I don't necessarily think it needs to be in a committee, but along with a report to the full board on AB 705 and 1705 information about student success, student throughput. Does that make sense? What?
No throughput. I want day one data.
You want what?
Day one data. I don't want throughput data personally.
Okay. That the thing?
Um,
With
could I-
data. How about we just say with data and
Give
yes,
the-
sure. Okay. I move to pull the item, bring the item back bring the resolution back after faculty have had time to review and the academic senate it needs to go through the process. We'll bring it back to the June board meeting, and we'd like to see some data presented to the board as well.
Just for clarity, so you're saying DAS would have, would be part of that presentation?
Well, they certainly
Definitely the discussion.
the discussion and the recommendations that appear in the resolution. Do I have a second?
So you need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Bella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
So next up, we have item H2. May I have a motion and a second in observance of Denim Day and Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
So moved.
Moved by VP Eno. I'll second Henderson. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman. Yes. Trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you, colleagues. Now may I have a motion and a second on the resolution for Child Abuse Prevention Month?
So move.
Second.
Moved by trustee Buelna and second by Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman, absent. Trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes. Thank you. Now may I have a motion and a second on the resolution for Month of the Young Child?
So move.
Moved by Buelna,
Second.
second by Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote, absent. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman, absent. Trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you. And may I have a motion and a second on resolution for National Arab American Heritage Month?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Eno, second by Buelna. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote, absent. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman, absent. Trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you, colleagues. May I have a motion and a second for a resolution on National Community College Month?
Yay. Motion. So moved.
Moved by VP Eno,
Second.
second by Hernandez. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote, absent. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman, absent. Trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you, colleagues. And may I have a motion and a second for the resolution on National Administrative Professionals Week?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Buelna,
Second.
second by VP Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote, absent. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman, absent. Trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Okay, we did have a lot of resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
May I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for celebrating Earth Day and reaffirming the LA Community College clean energy and sustainability goals?
So moved.
Moved by Eno,
Second.
second by Hernandez. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote, absent. Trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you. And last one. May I have a motion and a second for the resolution of remembrance of the Armenian Genocide and Genocide Remembrance Day?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Hoffman, second by Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
I abstain. Sorry, I had to step out.
trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez. Yes. Trustee Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you, colleague. And now I'll turn the meeting over to the Chancellor for the Chancellor's report.
Thank you, Madam President, and good afternoon again. Thank you, everyone, for your attention to all the important resolutions and the business and the reports that have been delivered thus far. And let me also extend, maybe for the last time this afternoon, my congratulations and thanks to AFT 1521. Let's hear it for them. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for your outstanding work and dedication to the success of our students. Moving on, I do have just a few updates to share with the board this afternoon. By the way, that picture there is from Los Angeles Pierce College. Recently, the journalism program won a series of national awards over there. So we congratulate the Pierce College and all the student journalists for their national recognition. Moving on to the next slide, here's what I'll cover this afternoon. A little bit more about the March and the state budget. A lot has been said about that already. I'll give an update on the efforts to review our district sexual harassment and procurement policies. And then lastly, just pull a couple of bullet points from the monthly Chancellor's report that was distributed to all LACCD employees earlier today. So just to say something on the state budget, we continue to monitor very closely the state budget. As we're all aware, the LAO's office and others have predicted a multi-billion-dollar deficit between revenues and what could be afforded for the ultimate July 1 budget that will be approved by the state legislature. So lots of work is going on between now and then, lots of discussions. The good news for community colleges is that not a whole lot of changes have been at least projected for the moment for the state's community colleges. So we remain in a steady state without any initial or current year adjustments that have to be made. And we'll look forward to the receipts that will be collected in April, because that will dictate the shape of and the fiscal health of the budget come May revise, which is expected to be distributed to the state and to everyone on May the 14th. So that will give us a closer look as to what the health of the state budget is. We do expect to be in relatively good shape this year and next year. If you're interested in having a deeper dive into these conversations, I welcome you all to the Budget Committee next week that meets at 2:30 p.m. And if you wanted to visit with that, it's an open meeting available through Zoom, as well as the District Budget Council. Again, if you're interested in some of the details, but we are monitoring this very, very closely to maintain the fiscal health of our district, not just today, but for the future years. Moving on to the efforts to review our district sexual harassment and procurement policies. If you could go back a slide. Just want to use that as the marker. I reported last month, and the board is aware that we have made a formal request through Senator Reggie Jones-Sawyer's office to the Joint Legislative Audit Committee and for a request that formally asks that they review our policies, validate our policies around sexual harassment and indeed procurement. A formal request has been made. There's been some follow-up questionnaires that have been forwarded outlining the specifics of the particular request. And now it's at the JLAC up for their review, and we will not be notified whether they will take this case on or not. So in between now and then, as we're waiting, there is an action item for the board today, and we're asking the board to entertain us with authorization to move forward with a contract with CLA. The CLA is an audit firm, a financial firm that would do this work for us, that would review our procurement policies, and then report back to the board. That work would begin relatively shortly, and within 3 or so months, give us a report. Part of the report would include some of the large ticket items that we've had, large value items that the district has procured over the last last year or so. That includes this LA Sheriff's contract. I know that's of great interest to lots of folks. So that is within the work plan that's associated with that particular item. I also wanted to mention that ODIA has had a conversation with the firm, an active conversation with the firm, and we're continuing that active discussion with the firm that engaged the CSU to conduct its audit of its sexual harassment policies in 22-23. So that is the firm that we are discussing that with. It was mentioned by Vice President Hernandez that there's been some resolutions that the Academic Senate, District Senate has put forth. They've been responded to in the areas that remain pending we believe, with current information as to what we have done or will do related to each of the areas of interest and concern. That is a public document. If you're interested in that, please contact my office or the District Academic Senate. We remain in active the discussions and with our Academic Senate colleagues and others who are interested in this matter as well. So that's the report for now on those two areas. Can we go to the next item, please? Next slide. And that's, I believe, the March and March. I just want to say one other additional item. I really want to recognize our student trustee and for your advocacy. Yeah, it's so important. I don't know, you're leading the largest community college district in the state, but now leading statewide efforts where your voice, the voice of students, matters. So really want to I know that we were the largest contingency. We made an effort to support the 150 students, our board of trustees, our district office, college presidents. We were all happy to sponsor the engagement of students at the state capitol. We are meeting with very important individuals and lending what we believe is the most important voice, and that is the student voice. So your advocacy is recognized. We want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate the board for all the great opportunities and just all the support that you guys have had sending me to Washington and everything. I really learned a lot through this position, and thank you. I can't wait for the next trustee to come in and learn just as much. So yeah.
All right, and congratulations to all the faculty and staff who participated in this, all those who helped to support. Really, what is one of our most important democratic principles, and that's the ability to lend our voices and to march and to demonstrate. Okay, thanks. Now let's move on to the next slide, if you don't mind. I wanted to point this out. The Board of Trustees is aware, making sure everyone is aware of our expanded opportunity through a recent MOU that we signed with LAUSD. About 20,000 or so students that are currently enrolled through dual enrollment. Those are high school students taking LACCD college classes. That's a very, very high number, perhaps our highest number ever. And what this LAUSD MOU expansion does, it by 2025 says that every student will be exposed to and offered dual enrollment class from LACCD. Every student at LACCD. Think about that. And this is courses in CTE, university transfer, industry certifications, internships, pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships. So the wide gamut of courses that we offer at LACCD will be afforded to the second largest unified school district in this country. So we celebrate this opportunity that we had to codify our relationship and our promise to our local community students that they will be afforded a high quality and affordable education. I wanted to thank President Dorado for hosting us on this particular Friday where we indeed celebrated, and the board president for her inspiring remarks on how we move forward to ensure that every Angelino receives an education. So thank you for that. Moving on to the next part of the presentation. This is just a very quick summary. This is I can't see, 56. So it's a little bit dated. We have more recent data from yesterday, from Tuesday, which is day 64. So the numbers are, in terms of improvements, I'll give you yesterday's numbers, which is the latest enrollment report that we have. From a year ago, our head count is up 14% as compared to 11 there. And from a year ago, our enrollments are up actually, it looks like here 14% compared to 9% that was reported from this earlier report. And I want to note this, from 2022, it should be noted that our head count is up 22%. 2022, our head count is up 25%. Indeed, restoring the kinds of enrollments through retention and persistent activities on campus, a reinvigoration of outreach to high schools, and you've heard college presidents report to that very succinctly through dual enrollment increases, as well as some enrollment activities, super Saturday activities where students can enroll full-time on the spot before they leave. A re-engagement, and it's been noted by some of our faculty today with adult learners, and a absolute increase in adult learners throughout the district, and what I would describe as an unbridled commitment to the communities that we are proud to serve. So I want to just take a moment to thank everyone who's involved. It's all hands on deck right now through these activities. So every single constituency in this organization is involved with the primary interest, filling up the classrooms in a way that is online, that is indeed hybrid, and that is indeed in person. So if you see there in the green arrows, it shows you that the constituency enrollments are up. Enrollments are up, but not students that are taking less than 6 units considerably. And of course, we always want to see the 12 or more units for those who are able to do that. So next slide, please. And we've done this, by the way, with a relatively good and steady increase in the number of courses that we're offering. Last slide enrollment that you have here, I just wanted to point out a couple of things across most ethnic groups, with the exception of Filipinos and students who declined to stay. All other ethnic groups are up with respect to their enrollments. So we are indeed serving and reflecting the community that is Los Angeles. But I wanted to point out that between the ages of 35 and 54, we have a 27% increase of enrollments between individuals who are 35 to 54, telling us that the reskilling, upskilling, repurposing, recareering, if you will, the work that we're doing in workforce and economic development becomes even more important for us. So I want us to pay attention to that, and clearly the students who are coming right from dual enrollment or high school is also up as well. But I wanted just to point out some relatively important demographics as we begin to plan our summer schedules and deliver on our summer schedules in fall and start beginning spring of 2025. So again, the demographics are good. The green arrows mean that we're progressing in the right direction. The last element of this report that I'll give is class modality and the fill rate that are within those particular classes. That is, you can see they're essentially roughly 50-50 between online, remote, hybrid, and in-person enrollment is about at 44%. We're looking at to strike the right balance between in-person enrollments, services, and online support services. So the college presidents should be commended for all the great work that they're doing to balance the delivery and also to ensure that students who could benefit from positive, affordable, high-quality education are given that. So next slide, please, as I begin to conclude here. I think Dr. Dorado said everything on this. Gave an excellent report on this. So we have 3 outstanding exemplary culinary schools, from the facilities to the faculty who teach in them, to the students who enroll, to all the support staff who professional work that goes on there. So we certainly invite you to that. It really is a seminal event for our district, highlighting the excellence of our programs and indeed the talents of our students. And the last slide I will share with you, this report, is the dates for what we call the cultural graduate celebrations for affinity groups. In this case, for LGBTQ plus IA students, our Asian Pacifica, American students, and there's the date, Black graduation celebration now in its, I think, 14th, 15th year, and then the Mi Gente graduation now in its 3rd year celebration. So you see the locations, the colleges. Again, thanks that we are asking students to sign up for that. So if you are in contact our faculty, we ask them, students who want to celebrate in this particular way, it's open to all students, but in particular, we'll emphasize the cultural elements of these particular communities that we're proud to serve. Then June the 4th is our annual commencement exercises across the district. And again, it's an open invitation to all to celebrate the culmination of our collective efforts for the success of students. Then finally, I want to underscore one component or one aspect of the president's report that's given by President Aguiar. She mentioned this incredible news that we now have at LACCD, our 5th Baccalaureate of Science degree, our 5th. Fifth one. There is no other community college district that has that many. We're going to continue to march forward. We have several in the pipeline now that are in development or at the review stage. So we're going to continue to provide affordable degrees. Imagine students who are looking to have degrees in biotechnology at LA Mission, biomanufacturing at LA Pierce, respiratory therapy at LA Valley, or dental hygiene at West LA College, or aviation technology at West LA College. The opportunity to have a workforce degree in 4 years without having to leave the college for less than $11,000 tuition. There is no better value, and the excellence of our faculty have positioned us, and our support staff and our leadership has positioned us to deliver on this promise for more baccalaureate workforce degrees. So I wanted to end on that, Madam President, because I think it's great news. And let's congratulate our latest college, LA Pierce College, for their wonderful recent achievement. Madam President, I will end my report and happy to answer or respond to any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, we'll start down with Trustee Hoffman. Any questions?
Yes, actually, thank you, Chancellor. That was a really great comprehensive report. Can we go back to the, you don't need to show the slide, but the 20,000 dual enrolled students. So first of all, I want to just give a shout out to your amazing staff, Dr. Alba Lopez, President Aguilar, and President Ornelas, because we were asked to do a key presentation at the Student Senate General Assembly. You know how many community college students, I think my mic isn't really working, actually really care about dual enrollment because they all came from the high schools and they now want to give back. But one of the biggest so, and the course completion, successful course completion. Thank you, Trustino. Is there a way to get a report on how many students or the success of our dual enrolled students? How many are opting to do pass, no pass versus a grade? And how many wind up maybe coming to us already on academic probation? Because I know that sometimes is an issue. So I don't know if you get that in IESS, but I would love to see a report and then figure out how can we make sure that, 20,000, that's very impressive, but how can we make sure that they're successful and that they actually do wind up pursuing college after high school?
Yes, thank you. We have presented that data in a few months to IESS, and we're happy to forward that report to the board and see if there's any follow-up there. Just as an aside, the gentleman who spoke at this event, he was completing his high school degree and associate's degree from the Teacher Prep Academy at LA Harbor College. He had actually completed 3 associate's degree and had been admitted to Yale University. He was on his way, 17 years old. So it shows you that for the students who are interested and engaged and do well, do very well. So it's that was pretty impressive, a young man. And we want that experience not to be the exception, but indeed the norm for our students. So we'll forward that report.
And then just wondering, is there any room for discussion around English and math, college level English and math for our high school students?
It's currently not allowed by law, but as you mentioned earlier, but in our discussion that we had today, enrichment, academic enrichment, support services are not disallowed. So we have to describe what that looks like, math labs, English labs, and we'll continue the conversation there.
Thank you, Chancellor. Great report.
Thank you. Trustee Bella?
No questions, right?
Thank you. Trustee Barons?
Yes, thank you, Chancellor. And some of this actually, this comment sort of refers to a number of the comments we've had together today, and wondering if this is going to be part of a future Chancellor's update or regular Chancellor's updates. We have a number of investigation, requests for audits, et cetera. I think you communicated with one to the Board of Trustees this past week. I raised the question because, one, partially some of these investigation pieces sort of have a legal process as well, and so I know there's some limit there in terms of what gets produced. But But I will say, for example, the one that was passed on to the Board of Trustees related to bond monitoring and considering that there's a new contract before us. How does that get relayed to the public? Because I think we had some very public questions and accusations made by at least one member of this board in a committee meeting and here in open session, but it doesn't feel like we have a closing of the circle or closing of the loop. And so just from the standpoint of if it's not part of the process here, I think the communication you provided by email is valuable, but at the same time, when some of these concerns and accusations are raised on behalf of the public, I think the public also sort of merits the conclusion of the efforts to ensure integrity in the process. So, so I don't know whether it's in now or whether it's in a future chancellor's report. I think it would be great to understand how you would or planning to process the number of investigation, independent reports. I mean, you talked about the JLAC request, but there's a number of these that are going through the process. So how do you propose to handle it, and you know, and potentially can you say some words on the Exeter piece that certainly I think the board knows, but maybe the public doesn't.
So thank you, Mr. Vettis. Well, it's done in a variety of ways. First and foremost, we follow the board policy and administrative procedure on reports and distribution of reports and informing the board. That's the first step. Our board policies are public and they're voluminous for sure, but it's important to note that whatever the board approves as its communication protocols, that is followed. That's first. Secondly, can always be driven by a board direction or leadership, board direction, asking for a report on or to agendize or to forward or post any report that is public. And I, of course, work with our general counsel around those. And most reports are public. There's not all, but most are. Thirdly, I would say, so that's probably the principal ways to at board direction, or if it's a matter of public interest, like I gave some earlier reports today. It's been an ongoing conversation of this review of particular policies around procurement and sexual harassment. So that has become a germane topic that I've included the last several months because there's a lot of work going on in that space. In May, ODIA will be given a report, a follow report to the one they gave in December about our district's training of, and if you will, of sexual harassment and continuing to ensure that our environments are free of hostility and free of discrimination, those sorts of very important matters. As it relates to the report that you mentioned that was shared with the board, it was indeed at this day as several months ago, as the Exeter contract. Exeter was our former bond monitor. They had been providing that service for about 5 years. That contract was to end at the end of December, January 1, let's say. And so in discussion, as that contract got concluded, they were bought out by another company. And there were questions raised as to whether Exeter complied with the contractual elements that they were bound to. And then there was the question as to whether or not they notified the district during the acquisition period while they were under contract. So that was brought up right in this body here. So followed up. We secured a KPMG, which is a very well-known firm, to conduct a compliance review. And the conclusion of that compliance review was forwarded to the board. The full report was also forwarded to the District Citizens Oversight Committee. That's where this initial request emerged and initiated from the DCOC. That's a standing body that is required by Proposition 39 to have constituent representatives that meets with the district regularly. I believe it meets quarterly so that it can review construction, bond, affiliated facilities related activity. It's a Citizens Oversight Committee. So this report was presented to them in mid-March and is posted at their website, their page, if you will. This is the report that they indeed was interested in and initiated. So that was done. But to conclude, and this is what I wrote to the board with the full report, questions were to determine whether or not Exeter delivered on its contractual components. And then secondly, whether the district was notified appropriately. In the 51 areas that were tested by KPMG, the compliance requirements of the 51 areas, they observed 6 to be non-compliant, 1 what they call compliant with observations. So 7, so what's that, 44 of the 51 elements that were tested by KPMG were indeed found to be compliant. And then as it relates to the non-compliant ones, it was certainly several surrounded the timing of their reports to the board. There was issues with timing or untimeliness. I'll just use that word. Related to the second item, did they inform the board in a timely basis while they were going through their acquisition by another firm? And the answer to that was they did indeed comply with that. So again, direction is given by the board to pursue these sorts of matters. We put in the resources to that. This costs about $100,000 to do. And it's at the direction of the board. So it's my responsibility to inform the board that the report is done, and that's why it was provided to you all in memo fashion. But again, the report is public. It is on the DCOC website. Counselor, did I miss anything that's important for the board to know?
I think you summarized it well, Chancellor. So yes, it is publicly posted at the DCOC website. So public has access to view that actual audit report. It is a public document.
Thank you, Chancellor. President Henderson, if I can ask, when we're legally able to announce the results of investigations or audits or process, that if you can work with the Chancellor on the best way to inform the public, because I think the goal of these things, and I don't take lightly, when we see an expenditure of $100,000 to validate or not validate, I should say, to investigate concerns, accusations on the table. I think we can't just let them float and not have a finalization and sort of an assessment. I think we owe it to the public to figure out how we get back to them to notify. This is a public trust matter, and if we don't sort of close the loop there, I think we do a disservice in terms of spending the public money and doing this diligence to make sure that these investigations happen appropriately. Thank you. That's all.
Trustee Anderson, can I address that point?
Well, we're gonna go down the road. Trustee Hernandez, do you have any questions?
Yeah, on a separate matter, I just wanted to the Chancellor's report on enrollment, which is fantastic news. We're going in the right direction. I feel terrible about being this Debbie Downer, but I would like to inquire, and perhaps we can get a report back on fraud. Yeah, and so I think probably folks saw the most recent article from Cal Matters about suspected bots represented about 1 in 4 community college applicants, and just trying to anticipate the next new crisis. If we could get a report on how, it sounds like this is with the advent of AI, this is a technology issue, and how our technology personnel are assisting our colleges with that, because I know that this must be an overwhelming sort of burden on our college communities. So
it is. Thank you, Vice President Hernandez. It's a current, urgent issue, and we'll report back to the board. It's something that's front and center because of these enrollments. We want to ensure that there isn't any. We know there is.
Right.
Our own diligence, but some fraudulent behavior.
Right. And what I just want to make sure is that our colleges are supported, and that we're doing everything we can to make sure that, whatever we can do, since we know it's there, to those efforts.
Yes. So in terms of addressing, since the executive report was brought up, yes, you're right, Chancellor, in terms of the District Oversight Committee, because I did bring it, I did review it. The District Oversight Committee requested an audit. This document was not an audit. Is that correct?
What's a compliance review?
Okay. Now, when we in December reviewed the contract, I specifically said, because you're correct, it was going to be a compliance review. And I asked the question from Ms. Gordon specifically, it does not say that it's going to be an audit. Ms. Gordon, tell me if I'm incorrect. The response was, it is going to be an audit because it's connected to some other policy. And we can play back the reporting. Ms. Gordon, am I correct or incorrect?
I don't remember the exact conversation, to be honest, because if I said it was, I don't know what I said about an audit, but this was a different group of people that were doing this as an investigation compliance review. And it was not under the same guise as our regular external auditors. They were not the same type of auditors.
Okay. And if we can go back to that audio, that would be very helpful, because I was very concerned when we saw that contract and I asked, is this going to be an audit? And I was specifically assured that in fact, it was going to be an audit. This is not an audit. I know Acting General Counsel mentioned that, but this document is not an audit, and it says that it's not an audit. What's interesting from this document, which is not an audit, is that it talks about, in fact, it contradicts itself. It says the contract for Exeter was supposed to have prior written approval. The document didn't say, the review didn't say that Exeter, in fact, had prior written approval. It said they had communications, but in fact, Exeter's contract called for prior written approval, and it didn't document that. It said that back in October, we went ahead and approved it. The other thing is that the document also doesn't point specifically to the lack of Exeter under board policy 6740, not reporting to the board. What Exeter essentially said was, it was IT's fault that the reports weren't uploaded, but specifically BP 6740 specifically states the bond program shall report directly to the board. Exeter did not report directly to the board. They submitted some reports ultimately. Then they said, oh, it was IT's fault that they weren't uploaded. Exeter also found that, I'm sorry, not the report. The report did cite conflicts of interest rules not being followed, the hotline not being truly announced according to the contract. It also, in an interesting way, talks about items that are within Exeter's or are within the bond monitor's parameters and are not. So the Exeter, I mean, the review, even though it was not an audit, and we do have to have a discussion about what exactly did we pay for, because even though the contract did say it, I specifically asked. And also the audit, the District Oversight Committee requested an audit. So as we're moving forward in terms of the document that I have here, we should discuss with scheduled time and bring, I forget what the firm is, KPMG, and ask them specific questions related to what occurred, because we haven't had a bond monitor since January. And again, I'm not exactly sure that we could even pay for this document, since if you look at what we were told in December that we were going to get an audit, this is a document that doesn't meet the requirement of an audit. So while I appreciate what some of the trustees are saying, I think we've got to look at it. And the reason that this bond monitor is specifically important is because this is where we're able to find issues of corruption in the bond program, since issues of corruption were potentially brought up in other situations, but gives confidence in the board. And since we're dealing with securities, specifically SEC, the selling of bonds, having confidence that this entity is actually meeting the requirements, this report does none of it. And I've highlighted, I'm more than happy to put together a memo on what it does, but it did not say that it did not essentially let Exeter off the hook. So I'll leave that there. The other point, so and with regard to acting general counsel, it would be important to listen to that audio, because if we were given a report, we were led to believe that we were going to have an audit, and then we have a report, and we didn't vote necessarily to pay for this report. This district oversight committee asked for an audit, and I think that's a reasonable request to look at exactly what we requested, because if during that contract, it was another board LACCD policy was cited, and those two things then come together. So I would request if you could look at that, please. Were you going to say anything? I didn't. If not, that's fine. Okay. The other question that I have is, so I noticed with regard to credit, Chancellor, to credit classes, can we get a chart on non-credit? Okay, thank you. Can we get a chart of non-credit by the colleges?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can we get, so in IESS, we went through the funding formula, and there's probably probably more, another formula that is more central to our income than the funding formula. Can we take about 10 minutes during this meeting, and this is my request, Board President Henderson, I think it might be a good idea that we spend just 5-10 minutes kind of with that chart that was explained in ISS, because I mean, that's at the center of our income. So that would be my request. And that's it.
Thank you. And as to your concerns regarding the auditor's report, whether it was an audit or not, I'd like to direct staff to have the auditor take this back to the DCOC.
So the request by President Henderson is to direct staff to bring the the report back to the DCOC for presentation and discussion.
May I add? Question is also, was this what they requested? But that's a question for them. But at least one trustee asking, is this what you requested in terms of the word audit?
So in questions of the request for the audit, was what we received actually the audit or just a report? Okay. Clear? Student trustee, do you have any questions regarding the Chancellor's report?
I was just wondering if a student signs up to go to one of the 4 themed graduations, will they still be allowed to attend the general one as
Oh,
well?
absolutely. This
Okay.
is complimentary too. Absolutely.
Mm,
They would do all of them.
okay.
I mean,
I wish I could go to all
celebrate.
of them, but I definitely want to go to
Well,
one of
yeah,
them.
this is not meant, that's why it's called a graduate celebration, not commencement. It's meant to be supplemental, complimentary, and inclusive of the rich cultures that make up this district, not to supplant or in place of the annual graduation.
Awesome. Thank
Celebration
you.
of June 4th.
I'll be sure to share that. Thank you.
It's a very good question. Go ahead, Trustee Paula, you had additional questions?
Not a
Well, I
complicated.
have just one quick comment before we end this discussion
Oh,
on the
can we-
Chancellor's report.
can we Go back this way and
Yeah.
so we don't have to go back.
Chancellor, I noticed that in previous months, the enrollment number of headcount was 19%. Then this morning, we received a report that it was at 11%, and now you mentioned that it's at 14%. Is there one, or is there another fluctuation that is potentially going upward or downward on the head count or enrollment, or is there a reason for why it went from 19 to 11 to 14? That seems a little confusing.
Well, it's not unusual that there's enrollment fluctuations, particularly as the second 8 weeks of the semester begins. Actually, the higher number was from yesterday, 14%. And so students are still enrolling in the second 8-week classes, so you can see a surge. And the other reason is that we're clearing out some of those fraudulent enrollments that Trustee Hernandez referred to. Every district has them. So it's not unusual to see the fluctuation.
So are we did we see 1914-11 or 1911-14?
The latter,
Nine,
1911-14.
okay,
The
1911.
14 is Tuesday.
Okay. And are we expecting, well, we are always expecting more numbers I mean, I'm just concerned because I mean, I know we're cleaning out. Either way, they seem drastic in terms of 1911-14. So I'm looking at, so that was it.
Thank you. Trustee Bella?
Yeah, so, I'm just gonna put this out there. At the county, when I was there, we did have a ombudsman office that handled every investigation, every audit, any complaint that came from a department. It was, the county's too big for the board of supervisors to take on and order these audits and stuff. So what I would like to see is just, us separating ourselves from completely like staff, CFE, CBO, hiring, audits, and all that. I think it should just be someone that is completely unrelated to any of us. Because right now, I don't think an audit of like their own department, let's say HR, should be the person hiring shouldn't really be the HR that makes a decision, the HR vice chancellor. So just a thought on how do we separate us as trustees and the chancellor and your cabinet, separate ourselves from having to do with any hiring of firms that will investigate, because especially if it has to deal with your department. I'm not saying you can't have a say in it. I think obviously you're going to have to at least know what's going on. But it's just getting to the point where it's like, it's confusing. Where are the audits? Who's auditing who? I don't know if legal knows. It's just getting very confusing. So I'm just trying to kind of put that example out there that there are such things as setting up. And do we have an ombudsman's office? I know some people do. I know LAUSD probably used to, but I'm not saying we do that. That's great. But we just really need to be, in my opinion, aware of any conflict that would come about, at all given point. So however we do that, I know general counsel's hearing me, but let's try to work on that. Yeah.
Trustee Henderson, I'm just agreeing with Trustee Vela here in terms of, and that's an overall conversation about governance, about looking at some of our governance issues on how do we potentially create a completely independent ombudsman, ombudsman office with their own budget that no one can interfere with, and with a hotline, however that looks. And thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
I was going to mention, we address that function through our internal audit department, that professionals that do that. So that's how, but it's not an inspector general per se or an ombudsman, but it's the same relative set of functions generally.
Okay. And then I also agree with Trustee Vettis about presenting that to the public, right? So however we can, however we should, is also something I'm interested in. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that, colleagues. So next up is item J. We now have for our review the combined consent calendar for items K1 through X4. These items include consent calendars for Human Resources, Personnel Commission, Academic Affairs, Student Services, Budget and Finance, Business and Facilities. May I have a motion and a second to adopt the combined consent calendars for K1 through X4?
So moved.
Moved by Eno.
Second.
Second by student trustee.
Can I pull an item?
We're gonna have to. Okay, second. Are there any items that require additional information?
T9?
The T9?
T9.
Okay. Anyone else?
S21
Okay.
and actually Z16. I just have a question.
And so T9, S21, and C16.
We're not in Y, right? Okay.
It was T9, S21. So we're waiting on Z, because Z comes after it, right? So T9 and S21.
D as in zebra, but is that on consent? Is that part of consent?
That's for the next.
Oh, never mind then. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
so we'll hold it for the next.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so. do we- can we do a roll?
I mean, I don't necessarily want to pull it. We can have
Just do more
discussion.
questions.
Yeah, so if we want to do the roll call after, I don't know about trustee Hernandez's item though.
Do you want to pull it or?
I want to pull it. Question. 9.
Oh, separate vote.
So. So now colleagues, can we have with the exceptions of items T9 and S21, we do a roll call?
Student trustee advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis? Absent.
Okay, so for item T9.
Yeah, so I think the Chancellor, addressed this in his report. This is related to a audit around the district's procurement practices and procedures, and this is directly related to some of the ongoing sort of community-wide discussion we've had with the Academic Senate and other stakeholders around our procurement practices and procedures, and I'm glad that this is on the agenda. The only reason why I wanted to pull this was because I was just looking at the respondents' material that's here, and I just want to make sure that I understand the scope of what this agreement is they are reviewing the district's procurement practices and procedures and validating board policies and administrative procedures covering procurement. Are they also looking into, and I think you mentioned this, but I just want to make sure, are they also going into some of the past procurement, such as sheriffs? Okay, and that's included in the scope of the work. Okay. Got it. Okay, and will that come back to us so that we see the scope? Okay, just so that we know, so we're clear on. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that that's part of this as well. Okay, that's it.
Right. So on Tuesday, when I looked at this, the document wasn't up. So I'm not sure when the document got posted. When the document got posted, it wasn't on the original agenda. So what is the document? Because I can't open it here. Oh, okay, you sent that to, okay, you did send that to me, okay. All right, so if the contract, so I do have a problem with it in terms of reviewing and validating, right? I think the reviewing is fine. Reviewing, if validation is necessary, good, validate. If recommendations for policies, could we put it back? All right, okay, so, all right, the scope of all includes reviewing, validated the current board policies, administrative procedures. So there's no room for suggested improvements.
In the review and validation, there could be their recommendations on improving the policy, improving the process, and we would welcome those and obviously look at those, obviously looking for legal compliance. So, and we'll explicitly state that when we engage in the contract. So in reviewing and validating, please don't interpret that there's not going to be room for recommendations. That's part of what they do.
And the reason I agree with Trustee Hernandez in terms of seeing the contract, it's because of what occurred on the review of the Exeter thing. I mean, this is specific, and I don't necessarily want to see every contract on everything, but the specific language on this, that it's going to occur and that wherever we're saying is literally on that paper. I think until I see that, if I get that, and we're gonna then look at the contract and then vote on the contract and what it's there, and that we're gonna get that contract ahead of time, not a day before, then I'm in support of it.
Miss Gordon, that's not how the process works, unfortunately. So maybe let's have a open discussion about authorization for this sum, and then that gives the authority to our procurement office to actually hammer out the contract. The other, I guess, opportunity would be ratification, but then we would be assuming that the board would approve already executed contract. And in this particular case, we want to do it beforehand. So can you help to clarify some of that?
Well, that is the normal procedure that we use for contracts of that magnitude. I mean, we get approval before we get all the details into the contract. There's no real contract until after the board approves us entering into the contract. Once they enter into the contract, the vendor signs and the board and the district signs. And in that contract, all the details are in the individual contract.
Right. So perhaps could we move to amend the recommended action just to add in that language so that it authorizes the district to then enter into negotiation over the contract?
If you feel,
Yeah, we can do that.
yeah, that's normal practice of what we do, but if that makes the board feel more secure that they're underscoring what we would.
If with that, I would be fine with that, to assure that what we're saying is in the actual document.
That's our intent.
Well, want to make sure that, so if it comes back with the document, because we did see it for the Exeter evaluation, we saw the actual contract. So we see, and then other instances, we see the contract. So and I think there's a threshold, Ms. Gordon, 125,000?
114, 114,500.
But so anything over 114,000, we have to see the contract in front of us?
No, we have to go to board and get approval to enter into the contract before we do it.
Okay, all right. So if we come back and see the contract, I'm good with it.
But we
I want to make sure that, it's in the contract.
Correct. But your authorization today allows us to enter into that negotiation.
In negotiation, not the execution of the contract.
Oh.
One is entering
They're saying that
into.
they want to see the contract before we actually, it's before it's signed.
That's not how we do it.
But she's saying, Gordon is saying that we're authorizing you to go into the contract and we see what's been agreed upon.
Yeah, that's out of order in terms of the sequence.
We can do that, right?
But we can't.
We can pull the item and then come back with the exact contract. It's just for ratification.
It'll be ratification. Well,
yeah, we can do that.
With enough time for trustees to look over it, just in case they have questions.
Well, what this does is delays the work another month.
Right.
As well.
It's been 4 months.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've just approved a whole series of other contracts and execution of contracts in a whole variety of areas. So, but if this one has special interest, you want to see it after the fact, or?
Here's the special interest on this one and not the others. This has to do with all of these overall strategic policies to make sure that, and my biggest concern, again, and I saw it with the Exeter quote unquote audit, is that we thought we were voting for something and we got something else. And this is important to the integrity of the entire institution. I mean, we love all the other contracts, but I just don't want to come back and have to search the audio on what we agreed upon. That's my concern.
Can they start? Yeah, they can start.
So let me ask for clarification. Is it the will of the board that you authorize us to move forward with the negotiation and then the development of a contract, and then we share that executed contract with the board so that we can affirm that it has the language that you're speaking to, or to table this altogether and bring it back as a ratification?
I'd like to move to revise the recommended action to the second sentence, the scope will also include reviewing and validating the current board policies and administrative procedures covering procurement, including past sheriff's contract procurement process and
So, and the suggestion, right, and the suggestion, and I appreciate that, and that's great, right? I'll be voting no, right? Because I want to see that contract. And again, when we had that conversation in December, we're not getting what we were told, and it's important to the overall district. So thank you, and I mean.
okay,
and
then
that
my
is-
motion is just then period. There's no and. So that's what I move. I move to
So
make
the
that amendment.
Chancellor just offered or asked is if we want to move forward with giving the authorization for them to have to go into discussions around the contract, get a contract, and then bring that back to the board for ratification. That you will see it I mean, obviously you'll see it before it's ratified, but not necessarily right after it's.
My preference is that we're getting a lot of heat from our stakeholders who want this done right now. I don't want to slow up the work. So my preference is that I'd like to move to change that language, and I'm satisfied with that moving forward, authorizing the district to
include the language.
Negotiate and get the contract done.
Okay, I guess straw poll, colleagues, are we okay with that?
Second.
Yes.
Okay, so can you restate it?
Yeah. So I move to amend the recommended action, the second sentence to read, the scope will also include reviewing and validating the current board policies and administrative procedures covering procurement, including past sheriff's contract procurement, however that's best worded. Period.
Yeah, you can say including the most recent.
Most recent, yeah.
LASD.
I can second.
Work.
Yes. Second.
Okay, roll call?
Student trustee advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
No.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis, absent.
Thank you, colleagues. Now we have item S21.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is this you, President Limbaugh? Item S21 authorizes a service agreement with USG Enterprises doing business as Fantasy Yachts. It sounds like you're having an EOPS graduation on a yacht. And yeah, please. I mean, just on its face, it doesn't sit well with me.
S21.
These are EOPS dollars. So
Thank you for the question. There's some background on this. First, EOPS holds big banquet in a hotel every year and have for years. This year is going to be close to $36,000, and they sort of quaked at that cost. So they began thinking about what would be a good experience for these students, because you know who's in EOPS, and oftentimes they have limited experiences. So the folks at West and EOPS contacted the state EOPS office and said, is this an allowable expense? They reviewed it and said, yes, it is. Then we contacted our procurement folks to say, can we do this? We said, yes, we can. So we made the decision, because it's been an annual tradition to allow EOPS to have a closing banquet, that we wanted to go save money and give them an experience that they may never have in their lifetime. So we went through all the hoops to make sure that the purchase is appropriate, that it was within guidelines, and that it followed all procurement policy.
I mean, can I just ask, do all the other colleges spend $30,000 on EOPS graduations and celebrations?
I have 8 colleagues who might be able to answer that question. I can't.
No, I know. I'm just wondering. I mean, because when you think about, books and supplies and all the things that EOPS is supposed to help support, and I get the celebration piece, and I'm all for celebrations. And if the chancellor's office said, sure, we approve $30,000 for a celebration, I mean, I guess
sure,
it's an allowable expense. It doesn't sit well with me. I get having a celebration, that's a lot of money. Do we have 250,000 or 250 EOPS students?
With
at
their
West?
families, because they're allowed to bring their families.
Oh, they are allowed to bring their families?
Yeah.
Okay. And is the yacht, is it just gonna be like docked? Or are they going on are they sailing?
Sailing.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, if everyone else supports it, I'll support it, but just know, like,
Okay.
it just,
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. Anything else?
you're at West, right?
Question? Thank you for that, Trustee Hoffman. Any other questions?
It looks like someone in there.
Concerns? Done? Okay, so,
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Hoffman, any other?
I mean, it looked like someone from the resource table who actually works at West wanted to say something. I don't know. Do you have more do you run EOPS? Thank you.
Because it is a way to honor and celebrate extended opportunities, students who don't get this chance throughout the year. They give their book vouchers, they give their grants and scholarships. So it's all student focused. This also includes CalWorks, CARES, Next Up. So it's 4 collaborative programs that are celebrating and honoring these students who are coming from disadvantaged and adverse communities to honor them in a beautiful celebration to complete their graduation. So it's bigger than just the dollar amount. It's 4 people, 4 groups. Wes does a great job honoring those students, and their parents and their families and their children are there. So I just wanted to add that for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that.
Clarifying. Are you feeling a little more? Okay, so, now can we get a motion in a second to, for item S21?
A motion. Can I do that?
I'll motion it. I'll motion it.
So, motion by, student trustee Cordova. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by trustee Vella. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Buelna, absent. Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez? Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Veras, absent.
Thank you. Now, may I have a motion and a second to adopt business items Y1 through Y15?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Bella. Any, is there a second? I'll second. Henderson. Trustee colleagues, is there, any items besides Z16 that?
Y9.
Y9. Student trustee, did you have anything?
Oh, no.
Yes, why not? Just kidding. A cheesy joke.
Okay, so we have items Z16 and Y9. Going. All right, so did you have anything, trustee Buelna, that from Y1 to Y?
Y9. It was already.
I'm sorry, I include Y. I keep including Z. I do know my alphabet, I promise. Okay, Y9. So, so we'll accept the, business items Y1 through Y15 with the exception of Y9.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Buelna?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Veras, absent.
Thank you so much. Okay, trustee Hoffman? And I'm sorry, Hernandez, Y9?
Yeah, my question around this really has to do with also what has already been discussed around Exeter. I was in getting the compliance review, I was disturbed by the non-compliant findings of Exeter, and I just want to make sure that there is a process for us to review. Sorry, am I looking at the right thing? Yeah. There's a process for us to review this midway through, or to make sure that the bond monitor, our new bond monitor, is in compliance. And so I guess that's my question. I'm not.
Yes, in the interview phase of this matter that I shared with the board earlier this week, along with a documents, corresponding documents. We've made it clear that they are to provide quarterly reports to the DCOC, to FEMPOC when requested, and then regularly to the board. I would remind the board, this is a 1-year contract. So it is 12 months in the making, so it can happen. But I think that same premise would hold to whomever or whichever agency is a long-term bond monitor, but that's yet to be determined. That will be determined through a full RFP. This was from a request for quotes, but that can be easily accommodated.
Okay.
Ensure that they're reporting back to the board.
Yeah, and I mean, just to echo Trustee Vera's, and as well as I believe the comments of Trustee Buona, this is an incredibly important role. It deals with corruption or, hopefully the lack thereof, somebody who's monitoring. It's a lot of money. I just think we need to be really, really on it to make sure that these reports are getting to us and that they're fulfilling all of their duties. Because it appears from the compliance review that that was not the case with our last bond monitor. And it doesn't, if I'm mistaken, I don't think we knew about it until now. So if we could, so that contract, it doesn't come back to us, but how do we ensure that we have all of the requirements in the contract that they need to come back with review? It's going to be in.
If you authorize this execution, the resources through this vote, in the contract itself, that will be embedded in there.
Oh, and it will be quarterly?
Yes.
Quarterly, okay. Okay.
That's our bond, yes, quarterly, yes.
Quarterly, okay. And that will come to a board
If
report?
you want it to come to the board, we certainly can do that. It would send a report that we'll give to the DCOC.
Okay. That's it.
So is there above $114,000? Again, why don't we have the contract in front of us?
Because we haven't done it yet. Same process.
So,
It's the same process. This contract is not to exceed $1 million because it's based on hourly rates. So we know it's going to be more than 114,000. Therefore, we would not write the contract until after we've got authorization to enter into this agreement. Same way as the other one.
So in Chancellor, in the drafting, because I have the Exeter contract here, right? And it clearly says that it cannot be assigned unless it's without prior authorization. And the board policy 6740, and maybe acting general counsel, is 67. Are there any other board policies other than board policy 6740? And I think it cites AP policy as well, AP 6740 as well.
Yeah.
So with respect to the bond program monitor, Trustee Buona, it is 6740, for which that's included in the board policy.
Okay. So here again, the bond program monitor shall report directly to the Board of Trustees, but be directed and supervised on the day-to-day basis by the Chancellor or designee. So we saw that not occurring with Exeter. So there is a quarterly report, but I'm not seeing the mechanism, because this is not a designated power. This is an authority that the reporting is supposed to go directly to the Board of Trustees. So what in the contract, Chancellor, is there going to be? So we have a shall report directly, because I'm reading directly from the board policy. So
Excuse me. In the interview, again, we refer to the fact that I distributed that policy. And here are our expectations of what we will do and how we will correspond and how we will communicate. So we can put in the contract that we will follow, of course, board policy 6740.
okay, so the contract language is going to have the specific language of 6740 within the language.
It as an attachment, it's pretty long, or if that's the specific area that is, all the policy is important. If we need to include that as part of bond monitor, will follow board's policy on its, that certainly can be in there.
The reason I'm saying this, Chancellor, is that I just asked General Counsel if this was it. This is the policy.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so there is no, I just, there's, we have a lot of other stuff, but but them knowing, because within, I'm telling you, within the Exeter, whatever this document was, they didn't even know board policy 6740. They didn't even reference it. They didn't know it. I just want to make sure that in this conversation, that when the contract is there, that when we look at it, board policy 6740 or all the requirements are specifically embedded in there. Will they?
Yes, and as I mentioned, at the interview itself, I distributed this exact policy and we went over it. But they understood very clearly what the expectations were.
The policy was in the Exeter contract. They knew that they were to do this. And they did not make the deadline. They didn't make the dates for several reasons. They were reporting to the board, and they reported to the board through FIMPOC and through the board. Sometimes they would bring a report and it was received and filed. That was happening. But this policy is in the contract. This policy will be in this new contract.
In the Exeter, in this document, it says, it has language not about quarterly reports. It uses different language. There shouldn't be any language between, there shouldn't be any difference, literally no difference between board policy 6740 and any contract or any supposed report. And there can be a whole debate about what they did or did not do.
Right.
But even in the report, they identify they didn't upload those reports. They blame IT, but we just want to make sure that they actually are done.
So when we started contracting with Exeter, it was before the 2021 adoption of this particular policy. So maybe that was an issue. But in this new one, Trustee Buona, so they were given, AMI was given the in their SOQ stage, this board policy exactly. So they're well aware that this is what they're going to be subject to. This will be included as part of what they have to comply with, and with respect to their responsibilities in the contract.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very helpful. Except for the fact that the amendment to Exeter occurred in 2021, and a lot of their non-compliance occurred after 2021. So if the new contractor is going to meet the requirements of 6740, that's the only requirement here. And that the direct reporting of the board, and we may need to amend this to understand what that directly means, right? If they said just a receive and report, but when it's something says report, monitor shall report directly to the Board of Trustees, but be directed, that's a little different than other district policies. But maybe that's a further discussion.
Trustee Barons?
Yeah, I just wanted to offer this point of clarification, and maybe this is one of the ways to sort of deal with this, because I would say that during my time being board president years back, we actually agendized this as an item. And I think it had been agendized by several of the board presidents, not all of us, but several of us have. And while the date wasn't specific, the conversation in agenda setting with the chancellor and the board president was key to like how it was going to be presented. Now, I think we also had a COVID window in the middle of that, but perhaps as opposed to when a board president or trustee president isn't sort of syncing with how we present these kinds of things, maybe we should have a conversation about being date specific about when presentations should take place. And you just go to that on a yearly basis, because I think we have left that. I do specifically remember the conversation about, and I had this conversation during my tenure with Chancellor, with Dr. Smith. I do believe Trustee Hoffman and Bella also had those kinds of conversations. I'm gonna say that COVID in the middle of this probably was disruptive all around in a lot of different kind of communication spaces. But what we didn't have is a date specific. I think we've done date specific on lots of stuff. And maybe what it is we can go specifically to this contract is being approved, or say it's approved today, that, every July we have a report from, I think we went to quarterly, we made the modifications, but some of that conversation of when it would come to the board just happened in the dialogue between board president and chancellor. But if we want to go date specific, I think that'll cure maybe some of the lack of clarity that's on the table.
Thank you for that, Trustee. Colleagues, any other discussion regarding?
There was one more, and I think this might be a conversation for board presidents to know that they have a specific purview and they have a right to have the conversation with monitors directly. Since this is one of those contracts that allows for a direct reporting of the board. So since we're all listening to it, we now know, so if for future presidents, and current presidents, that they can call that monitor and get direct reports, and we don't have to ask permission from anyone, because it's a direct report. And that would solve everything with every board president and board leadership knowing that they're empowered.
Thank you for that. Colleagues, any other comments? Okay, okay, are we fine with? Yes.
Yeah, you haven't
Yes,
voted
there
yet.
was-
There was no motion.
There was no motion.
We need a motion.
Yeah, motion and a second.
Okay, I'll move the item.
Okay, thank you. So
I'll
we have,
second it.
so we have a motion to approve Y9 by trustee Veras and a second by trustee Vella. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna. Trustee Buelna,
Oh, sorry, I thought you said trustee Vella. No.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes. Thank you, colleagues. It's now on to item C.
But trustee Henderson, is it, I just wanted to be reported as voting aye for the consent calendar. I know I missed some of the discussion points, but the consent calendar, I just had to do additional work thing. No, I had to step out for the vote there.
Okay, can we make that? no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. May I have a motion and a second to adopt facilities items Z1 through Z16? I'm sorry, Z17.
So moved.
Thank you. Moved by Veras,
Second.
second by Eno. So we have item Z16 that was, that there's a question, or there,
That's all right.
you're good? Okay, never mind. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez, trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you, colleagues. And now we have item AA. Before we proceed to vote on the next action item in regards to employment action for extension of contracts and step increases for college presidents, I will read the following language for the record. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953C3, which is part of the Brown Act, we are required to make an oral summary of proposed action on the salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits for all executive level positions as defined in subdivision D of Government Code Section 3511.1 during the open meeting in which final action is to be taken. In our case, we need to provide such summary for positions such as the chancellor, the vice chancellors, and the college presidents. The agenda item now before us includes the following recommended action. Approve the extension of employment contracts for college presidents Barry Gribbins, James Limbaugh, and Albert J. Ramon through June 30, 2026. To approve the extension of employment contract for college presidents Anthony Culpepper, Luis Dorado, and Armida Ornelas through June 30, 2027, and authorize one-step advancement to step 5, which is an addition of $26,350.49, effective July 1, 2024, and to approve the extension of employment contract for college presidents Emmanuel Jabru and Albert McQuarters through June 30, 2027, and authorize one-step advancement to step 4 in the amount of $24,976.77, effective July 1st, 2024. A $500 per month car allowance will be applied to the salary base, and they will be entitled to the same benefits and welfare benefits, same health and welfare benefits as are received by other unrepresented classified administrators, including retiree health benefits. May I have a motion and a second on item AA1? Thank you. Moved by Veras.
Second.
Second, student trustee?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Student trustee Cordova, second. Roll call, please.
We have,
I'm sorry, discussion, go ahead.
why is there a difference between some of the presidents in 2026 and some in 2027?
We are investigating, Vice Chancellor Williams, please.
Good evening. We are going to investigate that. I think it has to do with when the contract started. They're 3-year contracts, and then they start on a rolling 1-year basis after that. And so because those 3 are at 2026, they are your most senior presidents. The others started later, so their contracts have a 1-year different lag in it. We're going to try to figure out how we can sync them all up together at another board meeting.
Do you have a rationale as to why? I
They're
mean, I heard an
3-year
honest
rolling
answer that
contracts.
we don't know. Okay, so that's the answer, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Honest answer.
maximum a contract can be is 3 years. And so what the chancellor's has been doing is giving a 1-year extension each time the president gets a satisfactory performance evaluation. And so we don't know when the misstep happened, but we'll figure out when the misstep happened, where there's probably a year in the past where a 1-year extension didn't happen.
So if there's no rule as to why these 3 presidents are not getting the step, there's nothing prohibiting us then from moving them to 2027.
I'm not sure. So I will, what I was gonna do is research that, and then we can come back at the next meeting and give them another year if we're allowed to do that, so that they'll all be 2027.
Can I offer a theory?
Oh, okay.
Or a possible is when the board shifted its annual organizational meeting from spring, March to December, it also shifted the evaluation cycle for the chancellor and the presidents. And I believe within that 6-month plus shift of moving the evaluation cycle from calendar years, from academic years, may have been the reason for some of this. So that's what we're going to research. If there's an amendment to be drawn, we can do that.
But what I'm not hearing is that we can't right now then say, you know what, move everyone to 2027 since we're dealing with theories and not knowing. And thank you for the answer. I
Yeah,
mean,
I am not aware of a prohibition on that, but I have not researched that.
okay, thank you. And since this item there, I would like to move all those presidents to 2027.
And let me correct that. They can have 4 years, not 3.
Okay. I'd like to make a friendly motion that the 3 presidents be moved to 2027.
I'd feel more comfortable
Chancellor,
researching it and then coming
I
back
can't
with that
opine.
amendment.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't opine on this particularly. I'm not familiar with this item. So we could, I don't know about there being a prohibition on 4 versus 3. So at this point, I can't give you any input. Ms. Williams is probably more versed at providing that information.
You know, if it's the interest of the board, I'd rather not misstep here. procedurally. And if we can bring this back next month, they will not have any bearing on the current president's current salary situation or contract. I'd feel more comfortable with that.
So Ms. Williams, we can approve this
Mhm.
with, I guess, contingent upon whatever information you bring back.
That's correct, because these don't go into effect till July 1, anyway.
One more question. Do we give a differential to some of the presidents depending on the size and scope of the colleges?
Oh, we do not. We just approved differentials for doctorals. We're in the process of implementing that. And that they are now eligible for career increments based upon how long they've been here, but we don't have any kind of differentials based on size or scope of the job.
Have we had that discussion about differentials depending on the size of the campuses?
Not formally, informally, yes.
Can we have a discussion with regard to some potential proposals?
The closed session discussion, happy to do it.
Well, recommendations from HR. I mean,
Thank you. So the motion on the floor would be to approve the item with the understanding that after Vice Chancellor Williams conducts her research, this could be brought back.
Can you just make it simple? Just approve the item and then you can
That's what we
agendize it to come back, not contingent, but just
Well, okay.
approve the item and then
Approving
come.
the item and Vice Chancellor Williams will bring back her direction. Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella? Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
Now on to item BB1. May I have a motion and a second on the resolution authorizing issuance of Measure LA General Obligation Bond Series B and actions related?
So moved.
Moved by Hoffman. Is there a second? Second, Barris. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
Thank you. Item BB, may I have a motion and a second on the resolution authorizing issuance of Measure J, general obligation refunding bonds and a tender of outstanding general obligation bonds in connection therewith and actions related?
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Eno,
Second.
second by Hoffman. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote?
Yes.
Trustee Boulna?
Yes.
Trustee Henderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hernandez?
Yes.
Trustee Hoffman?
Yes.
Trustee Eno?
Yes.
Trustee Vella?
Yes.
Trustee Vettis?
Yes.
Thank you. Item CC, board members, there are two informatives, but no action is required. We're gonna go-
Oh, this simply relates, if you could click on CC1, out-of-state travel, authorization, information, and then for in-state travel as well. So it's no action necessary, but we do need to notify the board when folks are traveling.
Thank you for that clarification. Item DD, announcements and indications of future proposed actions by board members. I'll start down with Trustee Hoffman. Thank you. Trustee Bella?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly reiterate the importance of having that update with 705 and 1705. I do, for the record, want to say that, you know, I do agree with Trustee Hoffman that there has been the intent and there has been positives. But I really want to make these big decisions. I really want to see the data that we were talking about. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Barris?
No comments.
Trustee Vivi Eno?
Just a reminder that the APITA Plus meeting or the I'm chairing to the Chancellor is going to be April 30th at 12 to 1.
VP Hernandez?
And for me, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Boulna? Student trustee?
No questions.
Thank you. Okay, for item EE, the First Amendment and the Brown Act guarantee a member of the public the right to criticize a public employee or public official in the performance of their duties. However, speakers are encouraged to focus their comments on issues relevant to the conduct of the public's business rather than on private or unrelated matters. Speakers are reminded that the Brown Act and the First Amendment do not protect defamatory statements made which may subject a speaker to personal liability. So right now we have Dr. Christine Wright submitted a written comment, which will be added to the public record, received and filed. And we have Mr. Rolando Cuevas online. Mr. Cuevas?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Madam President, can you hear me?
We can hear you. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, great. Okay, hold my clock. Madam President, earlier on, there was a technical difficulty where I couldn't communicate, so I lost my spot. Can I get those additional 3 minutes, please?
No, sir. Close.
Oh, how dare you? Okay, so I'm ready. First of all, I have a question for the entire Board of Trustees. Who authorized the district to pay for the legal fees for Trustee Veras for his alleged terrible acts during Medina's allegation? Why are we paying for that? He should be apologizing to Trustee Buenas for the terrible deeds he did. Second, I'm tired of this district talking about corruption when the man right there at the chair, Francisco Rodriguez, has been seeing every corrupt deal that's been happening. Sarah Hernandez, you're right. The sheriff's contract, Gabriel Buenas, the Exeter contract, the 800 at the West LA contract. I'm tired. And Andrew Hoffman, you're the one that screwed the entire district when you were supporting 1705, so don't act dumb now. Finally, EOPS, you should be insulted by a Board of Trustee member asking you and questioning your integrity and the money you're spending. All you got to do is give Trustee Hoffman a bottle of Cristal, put her on that yacht, and she won't say a damn word, okay? And finally, be fired. You need to put an administrative leave, okay? Because I'm tired of this board acting like they care about corruption. They want to clean corruption. You can't clean anything because you're like the crack kid being arrested.
Mr. Cuevas, we
To clean the crack house. You just can't monitor your unless you give the bond monitor subpoena power. This is burrito now do a better job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, are there any members of the public to speak on closed session items? No.
No, ma'am, but we do need to note the FHH2 withdrawing.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
I need to do it now?
Just before we close the meeting.
Okay, so for the record, item II2 has been pulled from,
I think it's HH, no, okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
right? Item II2 has been pulled or removed
Thank you.
from the closed session agenda. II2. Okay, the board will recess to closed session in accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, Government Code Sections 54950, and the Ed Code to discuss the matters on the posted closed session agenda pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.5. May I have a motion and a second to recess to closed session?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Bella, second by Eno. Roll call, please.
Student trustee advisory vote,
Yes.
trustee Buelna,
Yes.
trustee Henderson,
Yes.
trustee Hernandez,
Yes.
trustee Hoffman,
Yes.
trustee Eno,
Yes.
trustee Vella,
Yes.
trustee Vettis.
Yes.
Thank you. Adjourned.